long before cities learned to talk in noise, before light broke up the night, and before time felt rushed or chased, there was a man whose life went by quietly in the world. He was called Enoch. Enoch was not a monarch. He didn't lead any armies. When he got there weren't any crowds, and when he spoke, history didn't stop. He was just a guy who walked. He walked slowly. He paid attention while he walked. He walked with a presence that could not be seen, but could be felt. Enoch was the seventh generation from Adam, the first man to walk on the earth and still learn what it meant to be alive. People were still young when Enoch lived. The ground still remembered how heavy the first steps were. The sky still felt close enough to hear. Enoch didn't live out loud. He didn't look for signs. He didn't ask for answers. He watched the world move around him, the morning air's rhythm, the patience of things that were growing, and how silence meant more than words. There is a single line from ancient times that describes him. Enoch walked with God. Not ran, not looked for, not having trouble. He walked. To walk is to trust the speed, to agree that not every step needs an explanation, to move forward without pushing the destination. Enoch got this. Every day went by without a sense of urgency. Every night came without a fight. His life didn't lead up to a big event. It became quiet. And as you listen now, your breathing may slow down and your thoughts may start to let go, as if the world is giving you permission to rest. Enoch did not hear voices from the sky when he walked with God. It didn't mean that the sky opened up over him every morning. It meant that he didn't rush through life. It meant he didn't fight with time. It meant that he let the present moment guide him instead of fear or ambition. And then, without warning, struggle, or ceremony, the old text tells us something amazing. And Enoch was no more. There is no explanation that follows. No explanation of how. No death record. Just absence. Think about that for a second. A man who doesn't die, but just isn't where he used to be. No one saw him fall. Nobody put him in the ground. There was no grief or fire at that moment. He walked away, and then he was gone. What happens to someone when they leave the world but don't leave a body behind? What path did a person take to get beyond the earth without dying? These questions are not meant to bother you. They are questions that are meant to make thoughts less sharp and create space instead of filling it. Because Enoch's journey doesn't start with noise. It starts with silence. And you shouldn't hurry through this story. It should be entered slowly, like sleep comes when you stop chasing it. If this slow, peaceful trip feels good to you, if you want to keep going through these old visions together, you can subscribe to this channel if you want. There's no need to rush, no stress, just a calm invitation. You can also leave a comment below if you want to. Just write your name, the city you're listening from, and the time right now, so that we can remember this moment of stillness together. Now, the night is getting darker. The world outside keeps getting darker. And the name Enoch means more than just a name. Time slows down, thoughts come and go, and the trip is about to really start. As the last faint signs of day fade into shadows and the world sleeps, the air becomes soft and still, with no hurry or expectation. The trees move slowly, and their leaves tell the night secrets that no one else can hear. Rivers flow quietly, reflecting the faint light of stars as if they, too, are stopping to listen. The sounds of people living their lives, footsteps, laughter, and distant voices are fading away somewhere far below. This leaves room for thought and for the quiet to settle in. You can also feel it, a small change, a letting go. You start to let go of the tension you didn't even know you were holding. Your breathing slows down, as if your body is in sync with the universe. Enoch is already walking in this quiet, even though you can't see him. This is long before your mind has fully let go. He walks slowly, with purpose, but not too quickly. His feet don't crush the ground, and he doesn't leave trails behind him. He knows what's going on in the world, but he's not a part of it. He's fully aware of every little thing that happens, like the wind or the shadow, the sound of grass rustling, the slight movement of the soil under his feet, and the soft glimmer of starlight on dew. He notices each one, holds it for a moment, and then lets it go, like a thought that he knows, but doesn't hold on to. Enoch starts to move not only through the world, but also through the invisible threads of time itself, following patterns that no one else can see. There is a calmness in watching him, even if you can't see him from far away. It's not the thrill of adventure or the suspense of finding something new. It's a quiet kind of awe, the kind that makes your mind and body relax and hum softly under your ribs. You start to feel connected to the world when it's at its most peaceful, like when the night air touches your skin or when shadows fold over each other without effort. The universe doesn't demand, it just lets things happen. You feel the weight of your body on the surface you're lying on, and slowly, as if you agree with Enoch's steps, you let it go. But even in this quiet, there is a feeling of excitement, not the loud, rushed anticipation of expectation, but a slow opening, like a door that has been unlocked, and you can feel the space behind it. Enoch's presence is a guide, not one that tells you what to do or makes you do it. Instead, it just exists, letting you know that it's okay to follow, drift, and let yourself be carried along without fighting it. You start to understand that the quiet you feel isn't empty. It is full of attention, observation, and the soft pulse of life itself. You are a part of it, along with every leaf, star, and small flicker of light in the distance. Time starts to move in strange ways. Moments grow and then fold back on themselves. What used to feel important now seems far away. Thoughts, if they come, float by like clouds, light and not very important. Your body is heavy, but it doesn't feel heavy. Your mind is both alert and relaxed, as if it is listening with all of its senses at once, but not feeling any pressure. This is the world that Enoch lives in, and it is the world he wants you to join him in. The spaces between things, like the quiet pauses and soft silences, become just as important as the things themselves. And so, walking with him isn't about moving. It's about being aware. It's not about getting somewhere. It's about being. And in the middle of all this quiet, the sky looks like it's getting higher and wider, as if it could show us more than just space. The night gets darker slowly, and the stars shine softly, not telling you what to do, just being there. You know that the ground under your feet is solid, but you also know that it is only a small part of a larger area that you can't fully see or measure. And your mind starts to understand that what you're going through isn't just night. It is a journey, a slow unfolding that mirrors Enoch's own steps. Each step is intentional and takes you deeper into calm, deeper into wonder, and farther away from the demands of the day you just left behind. And so you go on, following in the footsteps of a man who walked quietly, saw things without needing to do anything, and let the universe's rhythm guide him. You can feel it too, that soft, slow rhythm that welcomes you into a space where your mind can let go of stress, your body can sink, and your imagination can roam free. There are no expectations or interruptions in this deep calm. The only things that are happening are the quiet pulse of night, the soft presence of Enoch, and the start of a journey that will take them far beyond what they can see and what they can say, into a world of visions and wonder that only the quiet can show. The world was big, open, and unclaimed, long before the first cities carved their names into the ground, or stone walls, or roads carried the weight of human pride. The land itself seemed to breathe, moving up and down with the wind, river, and time. Mountains were quiet, with no sounds of people breaking the silence. The trees in the forests stretched on and on, their leaves whispering in a language older than memory. The sky above was wide and empty, holding nothing, yet everything, in its quiet space. Enoch walked here as if the world had been made just for him. He knew that the land was in a delicate, eternal balance, and that every step he took was part of a much bigger rhythm. The sun would rise and set, the stars would blink slowly, and the seasons would change on their own, without any need for ceremony or announcement. But each change had a small meaning, a soft hint that life was happening in ways that people couldn't understand. In this empty space, the world had no names. Rivers weren't rivers yet. Mountains weren't mountains yet. Every form was only its essence, and every essence had its own quiet music. Enoch learned how to move without forcing anything to show itself in this quiet. He could hear the earth's slow pulse beneath his feet. He could see the small changes in the air and light, how the clouds came together and broke apart as if they were breathing. He sensed life around him, not as things to be named, but as friends moving through the same space, each with its own rhythm. The world didn't expect him to understand it. It just let him be a part of it. He found a peace that words could not describe in this permission. It was as if the winds were paying attention to his steps. They carried whispers that only they could hear, soft hints of what was and what would be. The birds hadn't completely taken over the sky yet, but when they did show up, they moved slowly and on purpose. Enoch's focus was on these small, subtle things. He understood without trying, watched without judging, and let the universe speak in its own quiet way. Every stone, leaf, and shadow became a part of his journey. He moved like he was reading a language that was older than letters, speech, and memory. Enoch learned that movement could be a way of understanding in this nameless space. Walking slowly, without rushing or adding a story to what was already there, was a way of listening. To watch without interrupting, and to notice without taking were ways of being in touch with everything that existed. He walked along the river, through the forest, over the mountains, and across the plains, feeling like everything belonged to everything else, but nothing belonged to him. And in this state of belonging without owning, he started to touch the edges of knowledge that are often hidden from people who are in a hurry. The stars above began to shine softly and steadily through the darkness as the night went on. They weren't yet guides, symbols, or markers of time. They were just there, quietly watching over a world that hadn't yet claimed itself. Enoch walked carefully through this wide space, letting the quietness of the world lead him. Every movement was planned. There was a reason for every pause. Even though the world around him had no names, maps, or history, he knew a truth that many people would only remember after forgetting it for hundreds of years. That stillness and observation are the first steps to wisdom. The rivers flowed slowly, carrying images of the sky and the faint light of stars that couldn't be seen. The trees' branches reached out, but not quite, and the ground under Enoch's feet seemed to hum softly, acknowledging the careful balance of presence and attention. He acted without thinking about getting something in return or being recognized. But just being there was changing the world around him. The air held his quiet passage. The shadows changed with his steps. And even the tiniest stones seemed to remember how he walked. Enoch walked here before names were written, before people marked the ground, and before the world asked for a story. Not rushing, not looking for anything, not waiting, just walking, just being in sync with a rhythm that no one else could follow, but that all living things could feel. Every step taught me to be patient and quiet, and every pause reminded me that the universe has its own rhythm and that rushing only messes up the harmony that is already there. The land, the sky, the wind, and the water all moved in time with this rhythm, and Enoch moved through it, aware but not in the way. There was no need for a proclamation, no recording. There was no one there to see him, and maybe that was the secret to his path. To go through the world without leaving anything behind that could be claimed or confined, but leaving a subtle mark that would echo through time in ways that couldn't be seen. And so Enoch went on, slowly and carefully, across lands where no one spoke, under a sky that was vast and nameless, through a world that was in balance, quiet, and aware, a world that was waiting for everything that would come after. Enoch never rushed his steps. Every step he took was careful and measured, like a quiet conversation between him and the ground below. He didn't run toward the dawn or follow the shadows of the night. He just walked, letting each step fall into the rhythm of the world around him. The wind, gentle and patient, followed him like a friend, bending branches and carrying whispers of far-off streams, but it never pushed him forward. The land didn't feel rushed, and Enoch moved carefully to match that calm. He was a man who understood how powerful silence could be. While some people wanted fame, recognition, or understanding, Enoch only wanted to be there. He watched the clouds slowly move across a sky that had no names, taking note of how their shapes changed without him noticing, and how light played on their edges. He heard the quiet hum of stones settling in the night, and the faint trickle of hidden streams. He didn't think of these sounds as noise. They were the world's soft guidance, quiet advice on how to live without upsetting the balance. The trees around him didn't grow quickly. Without any trouble, they reached up and stretched into space with care and patience. Enoch walked like they did, slowly, softly, and on purpose. He didn't use numbers to figure out how far away something was, or minutes to mark time. He measured it in moments, like the pause of a leaf, the way moonlight sparkled on a river, and the soft sigh of a breeze going through tall grass. He saw every little thing, but he didn't hold on to anything. He thought that to walk without running was to live in harmony with the patterns of the world that are not seen, patterns that people who are in a hurry often miss. Enoch felt a presence that was always with him, even though it didn't say anything in this quiet rhythm. It wasn't fear or hope. It was the quiet realization that he and the world were moving together, neither leading nor following, but in perfect, unspoken agreement. He walked, knowing that everything was there: the mountains, the rivers, the winds, and the faint sparkle of stars above. But he couldn't hold anything. He understood that the world was shared, not conquered, and each step he took honored that. He didn't stop to think about what other people might call great. He did not look for signs or omens. He didn't compare himself to what might have been written about him in the past. He just walked. There was more wisdom in the quiet of his steps than in any words he spoke. There was patience that went beyond any set amount of time. There was also a presence that went beyond what could be seen. The quiet knowledge that taking your time is often the best way to understand. Enoch's journey took him through soft meadows and along streams that were hard to find. He passed trees that were quiet and whose branches moved without effort. The stars above twinkled with a faint, steady light, and they didn't seem to be in a hurry, just like he wasn't when he walked under them. The earth reacted to him in small ways. A stone moved a little to make room for his foot. A leaf fell softly as he walked by, and a breeze changed direction to touch his face. Every little movement turned into a conversation, a way for the man and the world to connect. He walked without fear, without a doubt, no doubt. He didn't hurry to the light, even when the night got darker and the shadows got longer. He didn't want to avoid the darkness. It was a part of the rhythm of his steps. He walked through every shadow, every soft sound, and every whisper of the wind. And as he walked, he brought with him a stillness that spread to others, and a calm that seemed to be reflected in the world around him. He didn't try to impress the skies or the earth. He walked simply, with a clear mind that came from paying attention. His mind went beyond the horizon, to the faint outline of distant hills, the shimmer of rivers far below, and the stars themselves slowly turning. He moved with everything around him, not apart from it, not better than it, just in line with it. In this alignment, Enoch found a truth that few people know, that running and striving often make people deaf to the world's hidden music. That hurry makes it hard to hear the whispers, see the subtle lessons that happen when things are still, and feel the effects of the rush. He became a part of the unseen order by walking instead of running. He was a presence that didn't take over but harmonized, and he saw creation unfold slowly. Night covered him like a blanket, soft and full. His steps kept going, steady, measured, and unbroken. With every step, they were both alive and giving up, realizing that life doesn't have to be chased to be understood. So Enoch moved forward, not ahead, not beyond. He just walked through the nameless expanse of the world, quiet, patient, and fully aware of every little thing around him. He only carried the rhythm of the earth beneath him and the endless calm of the night above him. As Enoch walked deeper into the quiet of the night, he could feel the air change in small ways. The wind didn't move, and the temperature didn't change. Instead, the very essence of the air changed, bringing with it a weight and clarity that hadn't been there before. It felt like the world had breathed out, and with that breath, a stillness came that was different from the usual calm. It was as if the space around him was holding its breath, waiting for something that couldn't be named or thought of. Every breath of air felt full, rich, and soft, as if it were more than just oxygen. It filled my lungs with a sense of calm anticipation, a gentle invitation to notice everything without rushing. The night got darker, and the shadows got longer, but they weren't as heavy as they used to be. They moved slowly and gracefully, like soft fabric folding over the ground. They changed in ways that were small but important. This rhythm wasn't broken by Enoch's steps. His movement was a gentle way of acknowledging the space around him, like he was taking part in it instead of intruding on it. The earth even seemed to know he was there. It didn't make a sound, but it vibrated in a way that showed it was aware of a presence that was both attentive and respectful. It felt like something in the air was sending a message, not in words, but in feeling. There was a faint shimmer, almost like light without a source, that seemed to move with him, showing him the way and making suggestions, but never forcing him. It was a presence so soft that the mind could feel it before the eyes could see it. It was a low hum that shook his chest and heart, reminding him that he wasn't alone, but he still felt alone. There was no need to hurry, no fear, and no hope. Only the quiet knowledge that the air itself could carry meaning, that the world spoke to those who were willing to notice, even when they couldn't see or hear it. Enoch stopped for a moment to take in this change and let it sink in. The night had become more alive, not louder, not more dramatic, but in a new way. The stars above twinkled faintly, and their light now seemed to bend and shimmer in a way that made it look like something was there, but not visible. The rivers moved as carefully as they always did, but their surfaces seemed to have deeper patterns that were reflected in the air and sky. It was like the world had changed a little bit, and he was lucky enough to feel the difference in every detail. The feeling that the air was changing got stronger as he walked. It had a calm authority, not the kind that tells people what to do, but the kind that teaches without saying anything. With each breath, I learned how to be still and how the world changes in small ways. I remembered that those who are patient and aware can pick up on its quiet signals. Enoch's steps showed that he understood this. They were slow and careful, moving in time with the soft rhythm of the night. Nothing was wasted in motion, and nothing went by without being noticed. The shadows of trees far away moved as if they were saying hello to him, and the little sounds of night creatures seemed to quiet down in respect. Even the soft rustle of leaves became part of a gentle symphony made up of pauses and soft echoes. Enoch's awareness went beyond what he could see and hear. It reached the unseen threads of presence that connected everything. The air had changed, but it was still soft and almost unnoticeable to anyone who wasn't fully there. It was a change that could be felt in the body, the heartbeat, and the way the mind lets go of stress without trying. At this moment, the world was teaching him to be patient, teaching him how to watch, teaching him that moving doesn't have to be loud, and that understanding doesn't have to be forced. Every breath, every step, and every pause was a part of a bigger lesson. The rhythm of creation itself was slowly and invisibly unfolding. Enoch knew that this change in the air wasn't just for him. It was for anyone who could walk slowly and quietly enough to notice it. It was a gift, given without words, ceremony, or recognition, just because they were willing to live in harmony with the world's natural rhythm. He kept going, feeling the space around him slowly get bigger. It was no longer just dark and quiet at night. It had layers of perception that were both calming and awakening, soft and deep. The air itself seemed to hold memory and promise, a fragile record of everything that had happened and everything that might happen. Enoch's steps matched this rhythm perfectly, neither ahead nor behind. It was as if the world itself was guiding him, and each step was perfectly in tune with the unseen currents of night. He realized that nothing in this air needed to be explained the deeper he walked. Nothing needed to be looked at. It was there, fully, and in its being. It showed the patience and rhythm of life itself. And as he moved with it, Enoch became part of a story that was older than time but always new. It took him forward in a way that felt easy, complete, and endlessly gentle. The air, soft and different, hung around him, promising journeys that had not yet been seen. Every breath reminded me that the world had secrets, both small and big, and that those who were willing to walk slowly and pay attention could see them. Enoch kept going, taking steps as slow and steady as the night itself, following the gentle change in the air. He was on a journey that had no beginning or end, only the soft unfolding of existence itself. Night spread across the land like a slow, deliberate breath, smoothing out the edges and stopping all movement. The stars above twinkled softly, each one floating in the vast silence, not calling or waiting, just being. There was a gentle, calm space between them that seemed to go on forever. Enoch walked through this quiet place, feeling the world around him not as a bunch of things, but as a living, breathing thing. The ground under his feet was solid. The air around him was weightless, and the silence itself seemed to have a quiet pulse that ran through every rock, leaf, and drop of dew that sparkled in the night. He moved slowly, letting his mind take in every detail without asking for more than it could give. The soft rustle of leaves far away, the faint shimmer of stars on calm water, and even the wind's occasional sigh, all had meanings that couldn't be put into words. Enoch's steps didn't break this rhythm. They added to it, becoming part of the delicate balance between what was seen and what wasn't. He felt something deeper than sound in the silence between the stars, a kind of listening that went beyond what most people can see. The world seemed to breathe with him as he walked. Shadows stretched and folded, but they didn't feel heavy or dangerous. The air was a soft current that felt good on his skin. It carried hints of faraway rivers and forested valleys, places that had never been touched by people. Enoch felt the life of the earth as a soft vibration, as if the planet itself knew he was there. Every step was a wordless conversation, and every pause was a moment of recognition between man and the world, between being and existence. The stars above twinkled quietly, and their light fell softly on the ground like a protective blanket. There was no hurry, and there was no need to keep track of time or distance. Enoch's journey didn't need milestones or markers. It was defined by paying attention and being aware of the world's rhythms. The secret to his path was to walk slowly, notice things without taking them, and move without making noise. And in that secret, there was a deep sense of ease, a calm that settled into the mind like water slowly spreading over still ground. As he went deeper into the night, more and more small details came to light. A small stream whispered softly over stones that had been worn smooth by time. The branches of a tree moved with a steady patience, following the slow curve of the sky above. People who were in a hurry didn't notice that even the shadows seemed to move in sync, following patterns that were both delicate and exact. Enoch didn't take in all of this as information to keep. Instead, he took it in as a presence to join. He understood a truth that is older than any human record, that stillness lets understanding happen on its own, without effort or demand. There was a rhythm here, but you couldn't see it. A rhythm that went from the stars to the air to the land. It didn't have any sound or light, but it was real, just like the ground under his feet. Enoch moved with it, matching his steps to its soft pulse. He wasn't ahead or behind. He was just there. This pattern was happening with every breath, every exhalation, and every slow step. It was a quiet reminder that life is a movement without motion and a song without sound. But this silence was more than just calm. There was depth, a heaviness that almost pulled you in. The night made people think, but not act, be aware, but not work hard. Enoch felt it not as knowledge, but as experience. It was the kind of experience that slowly and without notice seeps into the body and mind until it becomes a part of who you are. He understood that the space between stars is alive not because of what it shows, but because of what it lets you feel. He knew that feeling was the first step to understanding. The moon rose slowly and softly above the horizon, covering the sleeping land in a soft silver light. The light touched the trees, streams, and rocks, but it didn't ask for attention. It was there, and just by being there, it lit up the quiet places Enoch walked through. And he kept going, one careful step at a time, not just by sight but also by presence, by the quiet flow of air and energy and stillness that the night itself gave him. Every detail became part of a bigger whole that was important but not noticed. It was as if the universe were a quiet teacher, giving lessons only to those who were willing to walk slowly and watch quietly. And so he moved slowly, with purpose and with patience. The silence between the stars went on forever, full of soft energy that pushed him forward without asking. The night wasn't just a backdrop. It was a living thing, as real and present as the ground he was standing on, the streams next to him, and the invisible currents that led his steps. And in this quiet space where they were together, Enoch walked with the world, fully present, fully aligned, and fully at peace. As Enoch walked through the quiet of the night, the world around him changed in a small but noticeable way. It wasn't sudden or dramatic. It was more like a shadow, slowly changing shape. There was something in the air that made it feel thicker, a warmth that didn't burn, and a light that didn't shine. But both were there, pressing softly against the senses. At first, he felt it in his chest, a soft stirring, and then in his hands and feet, as if every part of him had become aware of a presence that was quietly leading him. It wasn't just a normal change in the night or the weather. It was the sound of something old and huge, too big to be measured or named. The stars, which were now dim and quiet, seemed to bend slightly toward him, not just reflecting light, but also a faint echo of the unseen. The world around Enoch seemed to mirror every move he made. The leaves moved as if they had noticed the change, and the surface of the hidden streams sparkled with a soft, rhythmic pulse. Words couldn't describe how alive the night was, but Enoch felt it completely, slowly, and deliberately, which drew him deeper into the experience of the present moment. As he walked carefully, he saw that the glow in the air wasn't light as we know it. It was an energy that was soft and warm, like a guide without shape or sound. It looked like it was stretching out in front of him, making a path of soft light that touched everything it passed over, but didn't change anything. Stones, trees, and water faintly showed its presence, and the shadows of night moved with it, bringing a calm attention that matched his own. This glow didn't hurry or feel rushed. It just patiently insisted that being there could show the way better than words or maps. Every step Enoch took was a way to connect with God. He didn't walk toward or away from the glow. Instead, he walked with it, syncing each breath, heartbeat, and footfall to the rhythm that seemed to pulse around him. It felt like the air had a subtle intelligence that recognized harmony and rewarded alignment, because even the smallest movements of his body felt purposeful without effort. He knew that the world is alive, not just in its shape and sound, but also in the quiet currents that flow between and around everything, waiting for people who walk slowly enough to notice them. With each step, the glow seemed to stretch farther, making an invisible hallway that moved with him and changed shape to fit the terrain and the path he was on. The soft light made trees, rocks, hills, and streams all look like they were part of it, but it didn't bother anyone. There was no glare or harshness, just a soft awareness that brushed against the edges of what you could see. Enoch felt it in his mind and body, a quiet sense of comfort that this journey though unseen by others, was important in ways that went beyond what most people could understand. He stopped for a moment to take in the depth of the night and feel the slow expansion of space inside him. With each breath, the soft glow seemed to sync up, bringing with it a calm that spread out and even reached the shadows at the edges of vision. The energy in the air was calm, patient, and encouraging, without asking for anything. It only wanted your attention, a quiet look, and the ability to move slowly while it was there. Enoch didn't think twice about it and let himself become one with it. He felt that the unseen light was not leading him but walking with him in harmony and silence. This presence didn't make me afraid, and I didn't need to understand or explain it. It was there, fully, as part of the natural order of the night and the world. Enoch's awareness grew to include even the smallest things, like a single leaf shaking in the gentle breeze, the glint of water far away, and the faint rustle of animals hiding in the underbrush. Each of these became a note in the quiet symphony of life, and he was both a part of it and a witness to it. The glow, which most people couldn't see, made everything sharper, more deliberate, and more alive, adding to the feeling of presence instead of changing it. As he walked forward, the world around him seemed to breathe in time with his own. The light in front of me wasn't a goal. It was a friend, steady and unobtrusive, showing me the beauty of small movements and quiet attention. Every step turned into more than just movement. It turned into a lesson, a gentle reminder that the most important things in life often happen without us even noticing, in patterns that are too delicate to see quickly. Enoch's walk turned into a meditation when he realized that he was fully alive in a world that, while most people couldn't see it, was very aware of his presence. The glow kept flowing around him all night, quiet, steady, and endless. It didn't lead by command or make people recognize it. It was there, softly changing how Enoch saw the world around him, and he moved with it, not ahead or behind, but perfectly in line with it. The night had turned into a living being, a friend, a silent guide that led him deeper into a reality that most people couldn't see, but that was there, fully, for those who were patient enough to walk with awareness and attention. Above Enoch, the sky went on and on, big and quiet, with no demands or judgments. The stars twinkled softly, like the breath of a world that was in perfect balance and didn't rush. There were no constellations yet, and their light didn't have any names or stories on it. The only thing that was steady and unbroken was the soft pulse of life. Enoch walked under it, his steps slow and steady, perfectly in time with the rhythm of the night. There was a slight coolness in the air that brushed against skin and hair with a gentle insistence. It was a reminder that the universe could teach without words or instructions. Enoch started to hear the whispers of the skies themselves here, under the endless sky. Not audible, not in words, but there, in a way that was deeper than sound, as if the stars, the air, and the unseen currents of space were talking to him. He could feel it in the way his heart slowly aligned, in the way his chest gently expanded, and in the way his muscles relaxed after carrying tension for years without him knowing it. The night taught him through feeling, being there, and noticing patterns that most people can't see. Every move became part of a quiet conversation. The leaves shook in time with the soft breezes. The stones settled with small vibrations, and the rivers flowed at a steady pace. All of these things made a symphony that was too soft to hear, but very real. Enoch knew everything that was going on. He didn't think about it or work hard to understand it. He just watched, patiently. He became a part of the slow unfolding of this ancient rhythm, a witness to a harmony that went beyond names and human understanding. The whispers of the skies weren't strong. They didn't ask for recognition or understanding. Instead, they drew attention in a quiet, subtle way, suggesting that the world had messages for those who were willing to move slowly and notice the spaces between action and stillness. Enoch knew this without thinking. Every step, every breath, and every measured pause were in sync with these unseen currents. The night itself seemed to know he was there, bending gently around him and supporting him in a quiet communion with everything that existed. The stars above him flickered softly, holding the history of countless ages but not showing anything obvious. Their light touched the ground in soft, gentle lines, bringing out details that might have gone unnoticed. The small ripples in the streams, the slight changes in shadow, and the faint quiver of the grass all moved in harmony with the endless rhythm above. Enoch saw, but didn't hold on. He watched, but didn't catch. His awareness became a mirror of the night, which was patient, still, and completely calm. The air around him didn't get heavier, but it did seem to get thicker. It had a depth and a sense of knowing that went beyond what could be measured or understood. Enoch moved through it easily, knowing that this quiet force, this whispering of the skies, was a guide, a friend, and a teacher who didn't speak. Every move was a sign that it was there, a quiet agreement to line up without forcing, watch without claiming, and move without bothering. He found a deep peace in this alignment, the kind that slowly enters the mind, easing tension without effort, and leaving only gentle awareness. The whispers didn't stop. Even as the night got darker, they were always patient and never pushed. They didn't talk to him. Instead, they used patterns, vibrations, and small changes to guide him forward without rushing. Every step turned into a meditation, a way to connect with the bigger rhythm that was out of sight and sound. Enoch understood that the world was made up of layers. Some were easy to see, some were hidden, and some could only be seen by people who could walk slowly, breathe deeply, and pay close attention. And when he realized this, he began to move with full acceptance of the night, not lost or wandering, but fully aware of every feeling, every movement, and every change in energy. There were invisible currents in the sky that guided without words, lit up without light, and whispered without sound. Enoch, with his quiet steps, fully aligned himself with it, joining the subtle conversation between the earth, air, water, and sky. Every heartbeat, every breath, and every careful step were a response to the gentle presence around him. It was a soft acknowledgement that he was both a student and a witness in a world older than thought itself. The whispers of the old skies went on, carrying patterns that were too delicate for quick eyes and minds. Enoch moved through them, not ahead or behind, but fully present, fully focused, and fully aligned. Every step was a part of the quiet unfolding of existence, a journey that asked for nothing, forced nothing, but gave everything to those who were willing to walk slowly enough to notice and patiently enough to feel. As Enoch went deeper into the quiet space, the night got darker. This was a world where shadows and silence lived together without any difference. The dark was soft, almost touchable, but it didn't scare me. It covered the land like a protective blanket, smoothing out every rough edge and calming every restless movement. Even the soft rustle of leaves or the distant sound of water seemed to slow down when it was there, bending to the beat of something bigger than the senses could measure. In this space between shadow and silence, the world showed its hidden rhythm, a soft music that could be felt more than heard. Enoch's steps were steady, careful, and planned. He didn't rush, but he also didn't stop for no reason. Every step I took added to the silent symphony that spread across the land, perfectly matching the soft vibrations in the air. He saw even the tiniest movements, like the way a branch flickered, the way dew on grass shone, and the way a stream rippled slightly as it reflected the faint starlight above. Nothing needed to be paid attention to, but everything was important. Awareness itself became the act of walking, of seeing without judging, and of feeling without judging. There was presence in the silence. It wasn't empty or cold. It was full of quiet intelligence and subtle energy that ran through every inch of earth, sky, and air. Enoch could feel it in the slow rise and fall of his chest, and in the way his senses slowly reached out into the dark around him. Shadows moved around him without him noticing, showing the shapes of hills, valleys, and trees without showing their details. Light and dark moved together in harmony, creating a living tapestry. Every step Enoch took honored that harmony and didn't leave any disturbances behind. A light breeze blew across his face, bringing with it the smells of dirt, water, and flowers that he couldn't see. Every breath he took was deep and full, connecting him to the world in ways that words could never describe. He knew that the night wasn't just a background for movement. It was a living companion, always there, guiding without effort and teaching without words. To walk in this space was to learn by being there, to take in the wisdom of stillness and shadow, and to let presence itself change how you see things. The dark around him seemed to pulse softly, as if it were breathing with him, not through force, but through subtle alignment. Every detail became more important. The rocks seemed to vibrate with the earth below them, and the branches of trees moved in time with the quiet air currents. Enoch moved in this way, aware of every change and every small detail, without stopping to think or judge. His awareness became a thread that linked him to the hidden patterns of life that were happening all around him without him knowing it. It felt like time had stopped here. Minutes, hours, or even days didn't seem to matter anymore. Instead, there was a sense of continuity, an understanding that every movement was both an end and a beginning. Shadows got longer and folded, but not for no reason. Only patience could show the patterns they followed. Enoch felt this, and let each step respond naturally to the rhythms that were happening around him. There was no absence in the silence. It was fullness, a quiet abundance that filled every space and gave those who were willing to notice understanding. The night also had faint signs of life that weren't visible. Not voices or shapes, but the soft feeling of life in all its forms, moving and existing with its own rhythm. Enoch felt the weight of these beings lightly. He didn't understand them or fear them. They were part of the world and part of the pattern, and their quiet energy matched the way he moved. Every shadow, every flash of light, and every soft sound became a note in the huge, unseen melody of life. This melody was not meant for ears, but for awareness itself. He walked without looking for anything or needing anything, only paying attention and staying in line. As he moved, the shadows changed, folding and stretching in small ways to make paths that were both real and imagined. Light and dark moved together, and the landscape changed all the time because of how perception and existence interacted. Enoch's steps were soft and steady, like the rhythm of the night itself. He learned that the world doesn't need to be explained in words. It just needs to be seen, felt, and respected. And so he went on, moving carefully through the thin line between silence and shadow, being fully aware and feeling deeply. The night grew around him without end, pushing him forward without pressure, and inviting him to go with the flow of its rhythms. Every breath, every step, and every soft pause became part of the quiet unfolding of the world. It was a subtle dance that required nothing and gave everything, showing how deep life can be in stillness, in shadow, and in the gentle attention of a patient observer. As Enoch's journey went on, he became aware of invisible but very real currents in the world. There were no rivers or streams, no wind or rain, just small flows of energy that moved under everything. They didn't make any noise or color, but he could feel them brushing against his senses, nudging him gently, and leading him without pushing him. They moved like the earth's pulse, slowly and quietly, through soil, stone, water, and air. Enoch's awareness reached out to meet them, and he moved in time with their slow, steady rhythm, becoming part of something much bigger than himself. He walked slowly, feeling the ground beneath his feet move in small ways. As he walked by, stones and roots seemed to know he was there and settled down. The air had a vibration that was almost too small to feel, like a soft whisper against skin and hair. It wasn't a voice or a signal. It was a presence, a quiet understanding that he was being careful and paying attention. Enoch took a deep breath and felt the currents gently swirl around him, wrapping him in a soft embrace that was neither binding nor demanding, but supportive and alive. Most people wouldn't have noticed how alive the night was. The trees moved in time with forces that were not visible. The leaves sparkled faintly, showing patterns in the currents that the eye couldn't see. Even the little animals that came out at night, quiet and hidden, seemed to move in time with these flows, taking each step carefully and without rushing. Enoch watched without getting in the way, letting himself become part of the dance of energy. By matching his breath, heartbeat, and footsteps with the subtle movement of the world around him, he felt a deep sense of peace in this quiet alignment. The currents didn't require mastery or understanding. They only required being there. Every step taught me to be patient, and every pause gave me a chance to understand. Enoch learned that the world is alive not just in what you can see or hear, but also in what you can feel when your mind is quiet and your body is aware of what it is doing. The currents did carry information, but not in words. They did it through feelings, soft nudges, and the faint pull of aligning the self with the environment. The stars above were dim, like the patterns below that couldn't be seen. Their light was steady and patient, and it didn't judge anyone. It only lit up the presence itself. Enoch moved with the same quiet confidence, knowing that the currents were always there, like the stars, to guide, support, and teach, if only one was willing to notice. Every move he made and every measured step were part of a quiet conversation between him and the world. This conversation didn't need words and left no trace, but it had deep meaning. The rivers whispered softly as he walked by. Their surfaces were smooth, but there was a lot of movement that couldn't be seen. The stones glimmered with energy, and the leaves shook softly, as if they were aware of the current's gentle touch. Enoch felt like he was getting in touch with patterns that were too subtle for normal senses, like the invisible rhythm that connected earth, water, air, and sky. And in this attunement, he found a sense of trust. He felt that moving slowly, paying close attention, and carefully aligning himself with these flows brought him closer to understanding the world in ways that were deep, silent, and eternal. Even the shadows of the night gave hints. They didn't hide. Instead, they shaped the currents by bending and stretching with a quiet intelligence that followed their flow. Every little movement and every little bit of light that flickered became part of a bigger picture that Enoch could feel, but not put into words. He moved with humility, knowing full well that these forces were old and huge, that they had been around long before people could remember them and would be around long after. His presence was a quiet sign of acceptance, a small step in the endless flow of life. The currents were patient teachers, slowly showing their lessons without any pressure or demand. Enoch let himself go with them, taking deep breaths and letting them out completely. He noticed the tiny movements in the air, the faint resonance in the soil, and the soft pull beneath his feet. Every moment turned into a meditation, and every step was a conscious choice to align with forces that, though invisible, held deep wisdom. The night itself became a partner, showing the way without getting in the way, supporting without taking charge, and offering a soft path through quiet, hidden places. So, Enoch kept going, knowing about the hidden currents that were there. Every breath, every step, and every careful pause became part of a huge, invisible pattern, a quiet symphony of life that few could hear, but everyone was a part of. The currents, which were quiet and patient, wrapped around him and flowed through him, leading him deeper into the quiet heart of the night, where understanding comes not from knowledge, but from being present, paying attention, and aligning body, mind, and world. As Enoch went deeper into the night, it seemed like a thin veil fell over the world. It was there, but not there, and it was very strong. It wasn't dark or light. It was a subtle line that set the normal apart from the extraordinary. The air here felt different. It was heavier when it was still, but lighter when it seemed to carry energy that couldn't be seen. Every step Enoch took was met with a faint resistance, not of friction, but of acknowledgement, as if the world itself knew he was there and bent softly to make room for him. The stars above didn't just twinkle anymore. They pulsed with quiet purpose. Their light didn't light up things. Instead, it outlined the spaces between them, showing the hidden paths where small forces moved. Every part of Enoch's body felt these currents. They whispered in ways that couldn't be heard, nudged in ways that couldn't be seen, and led in ways that required complete focus and stillness. This was the veil of the unseen, a line that couldn't be crossed in a hurry, but had to be approached with slow breathing and full attention. The shadows even looked different. They were no longer just dark spots. They were shapes that changed on purpose in response to the weak energies around them. Without wind, a branch might shake, and without touch, a ripple might shimmer across water. Enoch's awareness grew to include these small signs, and his senses became attuned to the quiet patterns that ran through the night. In this space, perception itself became a tool, a key to understanding the hidden dance of the world. The veil didn't separate. It brought people together. Everything moved together, from the tiniest leaf shaking in the wind to the faraway mountains that rose and fell in silence. Enoch felt more connected to the world than ever before. Every breath he took matched the slow beat of the unseen currents, and every step he took matched their subtle flow. The veil didn't need force or orders. All it needed was attention, patience, and a willingness to move slowly through the spaces it made. He saw that the veil changed when he was there. Each careful step sent tiny ripples through the hidden currents, a soft sign that he was part of this fragile balance. He could do anything he wanted, but nothing gave in without thinking. The land, the air, and even the night moved with a quiet intelligence, shaping, guiding, and teaching without sound or light. Enoch fully understood his role. He was not a master or an intruder, but a part of the slow, measured unfolding of existence. The stars seemed to breathe with him, their soft flickering, in time with the subtle energies that flowed through the world. The rivers shimmered softly, showing not only light, but also the movement that was happening below the surface. The leaves shook softly, the stones settled softly, and the wind carried a faint pulse that could be felt in the chest and mind. Enoch took a deep breath of this calm energy and felt it fill his body, line up his thoughts, and calm his heart. Every movement became aware, intentional, and in sync with the world's hidden patterns. He realized that crossing the veil took more patience than strength as he moved. It wasn't a threshold that could be crossed with effort. It was a space that could be entered with focus, stillness, and gentle awareness. If you rushed through it, you would miss the small lessons it taught and the connections that could only be seen by people who were willing to move slowly, quietly, and with thought. Enoch knew this without thinking about it. He could feel his understanding slowly growing as he walked carefully through the dark, unseen spaces of night. There was also a sense of timelessness in the veil. It felt like the past, present, and future all flowed together, like a river of quiet energy that never stopped. Enoch felt like he was in this flow, not ahead or behind, but just there, in perfect harmony with the world's rhythm. The soft rustle of a leaf, the gentle shimmer of water, and the faint glow of distant starlight all became notes in a symphony that was too quiet to hear, but very real to those who were present and paying attention. He went on with a calm sense of certainty, knowing that what was not seen was not separate from what was seen, but rather part of it. The veil showed that everything had layers of existence, and that awareness itself could show patterns that most people couldn't see. Enoch's journey wasn't about finding something new. It was about aligning with what had always been there, quiet, patient, and eternal. And so he kept going, moving slowly and carefully, fully aware of the veil of the unseen. With each breath, each step, and each gentle pause, I was able to walk through hidden layers of reality and connect with energies and presences that were not visible to the naked eye. Enoch learned in this place that the world is alive in ways that can't be put into words. He learned that understanding doesn't come from speed or force, but from watching patiently, being quiet, and acknowledging the invisible currents that flow through everything. As Enoch walked through the quiet night, he started to hear whispers that sounded like they were older than the world itself. They weren't sounds in the usual sense. They were soft echoes that were carried along by currents of air and energy, gently brushing against his senses. These were the echoes of the forbidden, the hidden knowledge that had been passed down through time by the veiled corners of existence. They weren't loud or pushy, but they were impossible to ignore for someone who was paying attention. With each step he took, he got closer to these subtle currents, and he could feel the night itself leaning a little bit in recognition of his journey. The stars above twinkled softly, showing the quiet wisdom that was there but not seen. Their light was soft and almost invisible, but it had a resonance that touched the mind and hinted at truths that were too big to fully understand. Enoch took a deep breath and felt the air vibrate around him, as if every breath connected him to layers of existence that had been hidden for centuries. The forbidden knowledge didn't need to be understood. It just needed attention, patience, and an openness to see its soft traces woven through the night. The shadows under the trees looked like they were getting thicker, but they weren't threatening. Instead, they provided a quiet place to think, where the soft echoes could be heard. Leaves trembled in delicate patterns, showing currents of understanding that were there, but not seen. Every ripple of water, every slight sway of branches, and every slight tremor in the ground held a piece of the hidden story, a note in a silent symphony that the patient could hear. Enoch realized that to get through these areas, he needed to be completely still and aware of everything around him without rushing. The night itself seemed to have a purpose. It didn't tell you what to do or push you, but it did give you advice in the softest way possible. The forbidden echoes taught things that couldn't be said out loud. They were in the way air brushed against skin, in vibration, in energy, and in the pulse of the earth beneath one's feet. Enoch felt these small lessons in his chest as his heartbeat slowly matched the quiet rhythm of the night. Every breath, every step, and every pause became a way to understand, without words, a bridge between what was seen and what was not. He felt that the forbidden knowledge had a patience that was beyond what normal time could offer as he moved. It had been waiting quietly for people to notice. The air seemed to hum with soft, steady rhythms that led Enoch forward without rushing him. Every shadow, every glimmer of distant starlight, and every small movement in the underbrush was a sign that the world has many layers of meaning that only those who move slowly, breathe deeply, and pay close attention can see. The energy currents that flowed through the landscape without being seen wrapped around him like a protective cloak. They weren't warm, cold, heavy, or light, but there was no doubt that they were alive. Enoch could feel their quiet pressure and insistence, which guided his steps without telling him what to do. Every move I made was on purpose, as if I were communicating with the night. He understood that these echoes were not judgmental or picky. They were there for anyone who was willing to walk softly and tune in to the delicate rhythms of a world that held knowledge that was both old and new. Even as the night got darker, the forbidden echoes kept going, reaching out to touch both the stars and the earth. They held secrets that ordinary people couldn't see, truths that were patient, quiet, and eternal. Enoch took another breath, letting the subtle currents fill him completely and bringing his awareness in line with the hidden music of life. Every step he took was a recognition of forces that were beyond what humans could see or touch, but were as real and solid as the ground beneath his feet. The forbidden knowledge wasn't too much to handle, and it wasn't time-sensitive. There was a soft flow, a slow pulse, and a rhythm that only needed presence and attention. Enoch knew without thinking that the power of these echoes didn't come from what they said, but from how long they kept saying it. They waited for people who were willing to move slowly, pay attention, and feel deeply. They showed them glimpses of truths that could only be understood by being fully immersed in the quiet and subtle patterns of the world. He kept going, through shadows, currents, and soft whispers of the forbidden. The night held him gently, and its quiet energy wrapped him in a protective rhythm. With every step, every breath, and every intentional pause, the world and the seeker had a quiet conversation, a wordless dialogue, a communion of awareness. Enoch walked fully present, taking in the lessons of what had been hidden. He learned not just by seeing and hearing, but also by being patient, aligning himself with the truth, and gently recognizing truths that were older than time itself. As Enoch walked quietly, he started to notice a small change in the world around him. The night was still and soft, but there was a faint light weaving through the shadows, like threads of light connecting far-off points in the dark. It didn't light up in the usual way, and it didn't show shapes or forms. Instead, it gave a soft suggestion, a guiding pulse that hinted at a path that was both hidden and inviting. The bridge of light wasn't a real thing. It was a feeling, a presence, a gentle connection between what was known and what was hidden. Enoch felt like each step he took brought him closer to something old, something that was quietly there, but not seen by most people. This soft light made the air vibrate in a way that brushed against his skin and filled his lungs with calm energy. There was no rush or need, just a steady, gentle pulse that made people want to wait and get in line. He moved slowly, paying close attention to how the shadows bent slightly in its light, how the leaves shook gently, and how the water reflected an unseen shimmer that spoke more to his awareness than to his sight. The bridge of light didn't connect things, but spaces, moments, feelings, and currents that were always there, next to the normal flow of the world. Enoch felt these connections all around him, under his feet, and inside him. He could feel the invisible paths that connected everything in the night. He didn't just follow them. He moved in sync with them, picking up on subtle cues that were felt rather than seen. Every breath, every heartbeat, and every measured step became part of the bridge, a delicate dance of being there and being aware that connected him to the endless rhythm around him. The stars above pulsed softly in time with the unseen threads, and their soft light reflected the gentle currents below. The night itself seemed to hum with quiet energy, a slow resonance that made him want to move slowly, feel deeply, and pay attention. Enoch understood that this bridge of light was not a place to go or a reward. It was a guide, a call to fully align with the subtle harmonies of life. Everything in the world seemed to be more alive, from the way the leaves shook to the way a distant stream rippled. Each one was a part of the night's rhythm without saying a word. The air around him was slightly warm, not too much, but enough to make him feel better and remind him that just being there was enough. Enoch walked slowly, feeling the invisible threads of light weave around him and connect him to currents that ran across the land without being seen. These threads didn't tell him what to do, but they did give him some support and gently guided him to move with awareness, patience, and quiet attention. Every step was a reminder of how important it is to find a balance between moving and being still, between what you can see and what you can't. The bridge of light showed links that could not be seen with the naked eye. Stones, leaves, water, and air all took part in the delicate weaving, creating a silent symphony of connection. Enoch's senses took it in without any trouble, and his body and mind fell into step with the rhythm of the night. He felt like he was walking through a living web of subtle forces that were real but not visible, gentle but very strong. Every breath in and out, every careful step became a thread in this quiet tapestry of energy. People used to think of shadows as empty or lifeless, but now they mean something else. They bent and moved with purpose, responding gently to the unseen currents and the slow way Enoch's movements lined up. There was nothing that pushed him to do anything or needed his attention. Everything was in harmony, teaching us to be patient, pay attention to small details, and be aware of our surroundings. The bridge of light didn't guide people with words. It guided them with their presence. It was a path made of attention, alignment, and the quiet recognition of how everything is connected. Enoch understood that all he had to do to get across this bridge was stay there. There was no need to fight, work hard, or hurry. Every movement he made with the threads, every pause, and every breath became part of the flow that was happening. It was a quiet connection with a world that was beyond what most people could see. He learned that understanding doesn't come from searching or holding on, but from being patient, aligning with others, and being present. So he kept going, following the faint currents of light that led him through the darkness of night. The bridge of light stretched on and on, not as a destination, but as an invitation, a quiet nudge to observe, feel, align, and become fully immersed in the delicate, unseen patterns of the world. Every step was both a way to get somewhere and a lesson, a moving meditation that connected the present moment with the eternal flow of life around him. Enoch started to feel the presence of silent watchers as he walked further along the bridge of light. He couldn't see them or hear them, but their awareness brushed against him like a breeze and was as deep as the night itself. These watchers posed no threat. They were just watching him, patiently acknowledging his journey. Enoch could feel their quiet attention in the way his heart beat, the way his chest slowly expanded, and the way he was aware of everything from the tips of his fingers to the soles of his feet. Their presence was a soft hum in the currents, a quiet sound that made him want to move carefully and be aware of the fragile balance around him. The watchers seemed to be in between light and dark, just out of sight. They didn't get involved or give orders. Instead, they watched and copied the small changes in energy around him. Enoch could feel the way his own movements lined up with the currents. Each step seemed to follow an unseen rhythm, and each breath seemed to fit with a slow, steady pulse that spread across the night. The stars above, faint and patient, seemed to blink in time with the watchers. Their soft glow made the connection between the visible and the invisible seem even more deep and quiet. They listened to every sound in the world as they gently watched. The watchers were there, and the sound of leaves rustling, water rippling, and grass quivering in the distance all seemed to echo their presence. Enoch thought that the night had turned into a living thing, with streams of energy, strands of light, and patient watchers, all living together in harmony. He moved carefully, knowing that each step was part of a bigger dance, a quiet acknowledgement of a world full of attention that was beyond normal understanding. The watchers didn't need to be recognized, but Enoch felt that his awareness made them more real. Every measured step, every slow, deliberate breath, and every careful pause became part of the silent exchange, which brought the seeker and observer together. There were no words needed. There were none in this space. Patience, careful attention, and moving in time with currents that were there but not seen helped me understand. The night itself seemed to lean in closer, watching with him, guiding him without getting in the way, and carrying lessons that were older than memory or history. These unseen watchers made even shadows seem important. They moved with purpose, bending slightly around movements and showing patterns in motion that were too subtle for most people to see. Enoch felt a calm sense of support in this alignment, as if the silent watchers were there to help him, not judge him. He realized that there are both seen and unseen observers in the world, and being aware of their presence can turn every step into a meditation, every motion into communion, and every breath into a quiet acknowledgement of existence itself. The energy currents that had guided him before now seemed fuller and more complicated, as if the watcher's focus made them flow more quickly. Every ripple of water, every sway of leaves, and every glimmer of starlight pulsed with patterns that couldn't be put into words. They carried guidance and insight. Enoch took a deep breath and let the quiet energy fill him up. He felt his awareness grow to include the unseen threads that connected everything. It was like he had joined a living network of gentle watching and small movements, with each part resonating with the others in a slow, deliberate way. It felt like time was stretching and bending when the watchers were there. There was no meaning to minutes or hours, only the slow unfolding of small interactions. Enoch understood that the watchers were not there to control people, but to reflect, to raise awareness, and to be a gentle mirror for those who walked carefully and paid attention. Each step was a part of this reflection, a quiet recognition of the harmony that exists in the world, a link to patterns that are too subtle for most people to see, but that are real to those who are willing to feel. He walked on with a calm sense of purpose, each step carefully planned, and each breath carefully timed. He was fully aware of the currents, the light, the shadows, and the quiet people watching him. Their presence was a gentle nudge, a reminder that being aware of things could show you parts of reality that most people can't see. Enoch's journey was no longer just moving through space. It was now a deep dive into a living web of energy, observation, and subtle guidance, where every step and every pause had meaning, harmony, and quiet wisdom. He kept going, stepping lightly, breathing deeply, and paying close attention. The silent watchers walked with him, not in front of or behind him, but beside him, letting awareness grow without getting in the way. Every movement turned into a meditation, every pause into a moment of thought, and every breath into a quiet conversation with the unseen forces of the night. Enoch walked with full awareness, taking in the quiet lessons of observation, alignment, and harmony. He learned that true understanding often comes in silence, through attention, and in the gentle presence of those who watch patiently from the edges of perception. The night itself seemed to react to Enoch as he moved on. At first, there were only faint threads of light under his feet, like the soft glow of embers hidden under ashes. They weren't real beams. They were glowing paths that gently led him through the stillness. With each step, the currents around him seemed to light up, showing patterns that had been hidden in the shadows and linking the invisible flows of energy with the real world below his feet. The paths told him to move with awareness, teaching him how to move in time with the delicate balance of night and hidden light. The light from these paths was soft, calming, and steady. It didn't try to get attention or impress anyone. It just was, a quiet presence that led without forcing. Enoch saw that the light changed slightly with each step he took, as if it was responding to his awareness and his slow steps. It was like the night itself had come to life with understanding, showing him a visible echo of the invisible currents that had led him this far. With each breath and each measured step, he became more and more in tune with these gentle lights, which made a peaceful, meditative connection between himself and the world. The stars above pulsed in a soft, harmonious rhythm, and their light was reflected in the paths below. It wasn't light in the usual sense. It was a resonance, a reflection of hidden patterns that only those who were patient enough to notice could see. Enoch could feel these bright flows gently brushing against him, matching his heartbeat and breath. The energy didn't push or tell people what to do. It just suggested, giving them a gentle nudge to pay attention and be present. Each step was a quiet act of communion, a deliberate connection with the rhythm of the world that he couldn't see, but that was all around him. There was a soft vibration in the air, that echoed in the spaces between the light threads. The leaves shook, the water sparkled, and the shadows moved just a little bit, all in time with the glowing paths. Enoch moved slowly, taking in every small sign and letting his senses grow into the quiet network of flows around him. There was no rush and no need to hurry. Each step was planned, each breath was measured, and each pause was a chance to think. He realized that moving could be a form of meditation, and that aligning with these bright threads was a way to practice stillness, awareness, and soft focus. The paths twisted and turned, taking him to places that felt like they were between reality and something deeper. Stones, leaves, streams, and branches all took part without saying a word. They bent a little to show that they felt the energies flowing through them. They weren't bothered by Enoch's presence. It fit in with their movement. The bright flows linked everything in subtle, complex ways that were both unseen and felt. They didn't give orders. Instead, they gently suggested that people tune in to the rhythm of the night. Even the shadows along the edges of the paths seemed to get deeper, as they moved with awareness and softly responded to the light. They were no longer just dark spaces. They were now quiet players in the light and motion symphony. Enoch felt like he could trust this pattern as it unfolded. He knew that the night was guiding each step, breath, and pause with its quiet wisdom. The bright paths not only showed him where to go, but also gave him comfort by reminding him that presence could light up even the darkest parts of life. The soft glow under his feet seemed to pulse in time with the silent watchers he had felt earlier. Their presence was now mixed in with the glowing currents of the pathways. The whole night felt like a living map, with every light, shadow, ripple of air, and ripple of water, adding to a web of quiet knowledge. Enoch took a deep breath and let the soft light fill him, align him, and lead him through the layers of the world that he couldn't see. Awareness itself became a channel that let him move with purpose, patience, and soft attention. Along these bright paths, time stretched and slowed down. It felt like the past, present, and future were all part of a single flow, a continuum where every step was both an arrival and a departure, and every breath was both an inhalation and an exhalation. Enoch understood that the paths were not there to take him somewhere, but to show him the act of walking itself, a deliberate, mindful, and immersive journey through hidden parts of life. Every step was a meditation, every stop was a chance to think, and every gentle shift in weight was a lesson in being present and aligned. And so he kept going, walking along the bright paths, aware of how they were subtly guiding him, lost in their quiet glow and in tune with the rhythm of the night. Every movement, every breath, and every step became part of a larger, hidden tapestry made up of light, energy, and awareness. Enoch walked with full awareness, accepting the quiet guidance of the glowing flows. He learned not by force or explanation, but by patiently watching, gently aligning himself, and understanding the calm that comes from fully living in the invisible world around him. As Enoch walked along the bright paths, he started to see faint lines of energy running through the ground itself. They were quiet, almost unnoticeable, like whispers that were hidden beneath the surface of the world. These veins had a soft pulse, a gentle vibration that matched the beat of his own heart. As he walked, he got closer to feeling the quiet hum of these hidden currents. It was as if the ground beneath him had a voice that only spoke to people who moved slowly, carefully, and with open awareness. The night seemed to react to his tuning. The leaves glimmered softly. The ripples in the water moved in time with the pulses below, and the shadows moved in soft waves along the edges of the paths. Enoch took a deep breath, letting the subtle energy fill his lungs, chest, and whole body. He felt more connected to the world with every breath. It was as if the whispering veins beneath him were weaving a delicate tapestry of unseen guidance that wrapped him in calm, steady assurance. These energy veins didn't push, ask, or tell. They only gave vague advice, inviting people to move in time with the hidden rhythm of life. Enoch saw that every step he took brought him closer to the currents that were flowing around and below him. His body turned into a living instrument, vibrating with the gentle vibrations of his veins, echoing the quiet pulse of the night, and becoming one with the invisible network that connected every stone, leaf, and particle of air. The stars above seemed to twinkle in agreement, and their dim light reflected the energy of the veins in ways that were too subtle for most people to see. Enoch knew that this network wasn't there to show off, but to connect people, align them, and teach them patience and awareness in a quiet way. Every soft wave of energy beneath him was a lesson, and every slight tremor in the air was a reminder that the world has more meaning than what you can see or touch. The whispering veins told him to slow down, pay attention, and fully experience the quiet language of life. The shadows moved with the pulse of the veins, no longer just empty spaces, but living things that were part of the flow of energy. There was no wind, but branches swayed. Water sparkled without being disturbed, and the soft brush of air against skin felt like it was full of quiet, smart awareness. Enoch could feel the night itself, patient, steady, and very much alive. With every measured step, every pause, and every breath, I was able to align with these currents and have a quiet conversation with the subtle forces that flowed beneath the surface of the world. He understood that the whispering veins held knowledge that was older than memory and connections that had been there long before humans walked the earth. The energy pulsed steadily, patiently, waiting for those who were willing to walk in line, breathe in time with the subtle rhythm, and watch without rushing. Enoch moved slowly and on purpose, letting the pulses beneath him resonate with him. He learned that understanding often comes not from force or intellect, but from attunement, awareness, and gentle patience. The veins crossed over the glowing paths above, making a fragile web of hidden instructions. It seemed like every thread of energy reacted to his movements, echoing his awareness and encouraging him to stay in line. There was no rush or expectation, just a calm invitation to fully join in with the rhythm of the night. Enoch felt a deep peace in this communion, a sense that every careful step was part of a larger, unseen plan, a pattern that was too subtle to name, but very real to those who noticed. Time seemed to stop along these energy lines. The past and the future softly folded into the present, leaving only the slow, steady flow of currents and the gentle pulse of awareness. Enoch knew that these whispers weren't meant to be caught, explained, or owned. They were meant to be felt, experienced, and honored. Every step was both an action and a meditation, and every breath was both a reception and an offering. It was a quiet exchange between the seeker and the world's hidden network. He kept going, carefully stepping along the glowing paths, feeling the soft beats of the whispering veins below him, and letting their quiet energy guide his mind. Each movement, each pause, and each breath became a way to move in sync with a world that is made up of layers, currents, and quiet, patient observation. Enoch walked with his whole body, mind, and spirit in tune with the slow, gentle, and eternal rhythm of the night's hidden flows. As Enoch moved on, the currents and glowing paths took him to a quiet garden that felt like it was between two worlds, hidden in the folds of the night. It wasn't like any garden that most people have seen because it didn't just exist in space. It existed between layers of existence. The air smelled good, with hints of things that seemed to come from the earth, the stars, and the spaces beyond. The petals of the flowers glimmered with a soft internal light, and the leaves of the trees moved slowly, as if they knew someone was there, who belonged to both this world and something much bigger. The garden was quiet and peaceful, but it was also alive in ways that were hard to understand. The streams flowed without a sound. The stones reflected the unseen currents of energy, and the wind seemed to move in time with an unseen beat. Enoch could feel the soft pulse beneath everything, the garden's quiet heartbeat leading him through its secret paths. He walked slowly, taking deep breaths that brought the essence of the place into his body and gave him a sense of calm that was both grounding and freeing. Light and shadow danced in and out of the garden, making shapes that could only be seen, not defined. Enoch saw that every movement, whether it was his own or the garden's, was part of a bigger, silent dance, a balance of energies that needed attention without being forced. Every leaf that shook, every ripple in the water, and every flicker of starlight seemed to have a quiet purpose, as if they were holding a secret in stillness. He understood that this garden was not meant to be hurried through. It needed the careful, deliberate attention of someone who was fully present to its subtle guidance. The air had hints of the unseen currents he had followed so far. Bright threads wove in and out of the garden's natural shapes, not taking over, but adding to them. Together, they made a tapestry of soft light and shadow that led him without words. Enoch felt the rhythms under his feet, the quiet pulses in the ground, and the soft sounds in the air, all of which matched the calmness of his own body. Every step was both an action and a meditation, and every breath helped me fully connect with the garden's peaceful harmony. Time seemed to disappear in this space between worlds. The past and the future were no longer separate. The present spread out in soft waves that Enoch could feel flowing through everything that existed. He felt that the garden itself was a bridge between the seen and the unseen, the living and the dead. Every step he took was both a journey and a lesson, a subtle realization that following hidden rhythms made him more aware than normal. The light and shadows in the garden were smart too. They bent, moved, and sparkled in time with the unseen world's currents and pulses, responding to Enoch's presence with perfect accuracy. Every move became a quiet conversation, showing how well the visitor and the garden's hidden life got along. He took another deep breath and felt a sense of patience and presence flow through every part of his body, connecting him to the quiet, timeless rhythm of the space. The flowers, which glowed faintly, seemed to nod slightly as he walked by, as if to say, "I see you." The soft glimmer of the water reflected the hidden energy currents that flowed through the garden, and the stones and soil pulsed with quiet life. Enoch's senses grew to include the whole garden, and awareness itself became a way to understand the fragile, silent links that connected all living and unseen forces. With every breath in and out, every purposeful step, he became more and more immersed, his presence blending perfectly with the rhythm of this suspended world. In the garden, he felt a deep peace, a sense of patience, and quiet instruction that didn't need words. It was a place where seeing became knowing, where moving became meditating, and where being there itself revealed the layers of reality that most people can't see. Enoch knew that walking through this space wasn't about getting somewhere, it was about being aware of the subtle currents of life and feeling the balance between light, shadow, energy, and awareness that flowed around him. He went on, walking through the garden slowly and taking in its soft glow, hidden rhythms, and the quiet pulses that ran through everything. Every breath, every pause, and every step became a quiet meditation, a connection with the hidden parts of the world. Enoch walked fully present, in sync with the garden's calm energy. He learned that peace, awareness, and connection don't come from force, but from gently tuning in to the subtle currents that surround and support every living thing. When Enoch left the garden, he stepped into a huge space that felt like it was stuck between reality and a dream. It was an endless series of echoing halls. These halls weren't made of stone or wood. They were made of light, shadow, and small flows of energy that made paths that went on forever. Each step he took made a soft sound that traveled through his chest and fingertips, but it wasn't loud enough to be heard. The air itself carried these echoes, vibrating softly with every move, breath, and careful pause. The walls of the halls glimmered softly, not showing things but the flows of presence that were passing through them. Shadows twisted and moved, but there was no fear or threat. There was only a fragile sense of something older, wiser, and very patient. Enoch could feel the stories that were stored in these halls, histories that had never been spoken out loud, and energies that ordinary people had never touched. Every echo held memories of things that happened a long time ago, secret lessons, and the quiet wisdom of the world we can't see. Light and shadow moved together, not showing or hiding anything. The faint glow of unseen sources brought out small details in the air itself, like the ripple of energy, the shimmer of currents, and the soft pulse of the threads that are not seen but are there. Enoch walked slowly, matching his steps to the soft rhythm. He felt the halls as living things that acknowledged his presence with a gentle touch. Every movement became a part of the subtle pattern, a quiet integration into the structure of unseen forces. The echoes in the halls were patient teachers. They didn't need to hurry, be urgent, or make a demand. Instead, they taught people how to align, observe, and be aware in a gentle way. Enoch took a deep breath and let the soft sound fill him completely. Each vibration seemed to wake up small currents in his body that were in sync with the pulses under his feet, the glow above, and the quiet energy that moved through the halls without being seen. The journey turned into a moving meditation, a wordless conversation, and a connection between the seeker and the patient echoes of life. The air had a light scent that reminded me of earth, stone, and water, and it mixed perfectly with the soft hum of energy. Enoch understood that every sensory detail was part of the lesson. The soft smell, the gentle vibration, and the changing patterns of light and shadow all worked together to help him understand without saying anything. Awareness itself became the teacher, and the halls were the way that insight quietly flowed into the mind, body, and spirit. The space between echoes was important too. Silence wasn't empty. It was the time when perception got deeper, attention got sharper, and presence got bigger. Enoch saw that if he moved too quickly, the subtle resonances would blur, but if he slowed down, he could fully feel each pulse, shimmer, and vibration. He let his body move with the beat, his mind open up to the silence, and his awareness take in the whole network of currents that ran through the echoing halls. The halls seemed to go on forever, in every direction. But Enoch wasn't scared or confused. The space had a quiet intelligence and a steady flow that led without getting in the way. As he moved, shadows bent, light shimmered in soft waves, and the currents pulsed in a way that showed they knew he was there. Every step was planned, every breath was planned, and every pause was a quiet moment of understanding. He understood that the halls were a link between different worlds, the known and the unknown, the visible and the invisible, the temporary and the eternal. The echoing halls made time feel like it was standing still. There was a pulse in the past, present, and future, all at once. Each pulse was a reminder that being aware is the key to seeing the flow beyond normal time. As Enoch walked, he meditated, and each time he aligned with the currents, he had a chance to fully fit into the patient rhythm of the halls. Every move, every breath, and every little change in weight had meaning. They were all small signs of the forces that kept the space around him together. And so he kept going, moving slowly through the echoing halls, listening to their silent music, fully aware of the unseen currents, and fully aware of the subtle layers of energy that flowed through the space. With each step, I moved from perception to understanding, and with each breath, I had a quiet conversation with the wisdom that was all around me. Enoch walked in perfect alignment, fully aware and fully immersed in the patient, silent, and eternal rhythm of the world that is not visible to most people. As Enoch walked deeper into the echoing halls, he felt a new layer of currents beneath his feet. They were like veins carrying the quiet wisdom of the ages. Even though these veins were hidden, he could feel them as soft vibrations moving through the ground, matching the beat of his heart and the gentle flow of his breath. Each pulse was slow, careful, and purposeful, guiding him with quiet insistence without the need for words. Enoch felt the weight of time in these veins, the knowledge of worlds that had come and gone, and the secrets that only those who moved carefully and with awareness could know. The veins seemed to have their own intelligence as they flowed beneath the bright paths and through the quiet watchers who had come with him. They pulsed like the soft heartbeat of the night, and their rhythm fit perfectly with Enoch's own. Every step he took sent small ripples through the network. Every breath brought him closer to the unseen currents, and every pause let the wisdom that was already in his veins fully resonate within him. Enoch understood that awareness was the key to understanding the lessons hidden in these subtle flows. The stars above flickered softly, and their light reflected faintly off the network below him that he couldn't see. This made a delicate balance between what was hidden and what was visible. Shadows moved slowly along the walls of the halls, not because of force, but because they were in sync with the energy pulses flowing below. Enoch quickly realized that this web of knowledge was not meant to be owned, but rather to be felt, seen, and respected. Each vibration had a meaning, and each tiny shimmer was a note in a symphony that was too soft to hear, but very real to those who could feel its rhythm. The veins of wisdom linked everything together, including stones, air, water, leaves, and light. Each part vibrated with the quiet currents, taking part in the complex, delicate patterns of energy. Enoch felt like he was becoming a part of the system, and he could feel the pulses below him. Every careful step turned into a meditation, and every deliberate breath became a bridge between the real world and the hidden layers of knowledge that flowed quietly below. He knew that the universe didn't always talk to him through sight or sound. It also talked to him through resonance, alignment, and patient attention. There was meaning in the spaces between the veins. Silence wasn't empty. It was the break that let Enoch's perception grow deeper, letting him feel the hidden harmonies that ran through the halls. Every ripple, every small change in the air or shadow reminded me that wisdom is often found in the quiet, waiting for those who move carefully and with awareness. He learned that trying to understand too quickly or too hard could upset the delicate balance of the currents, but being patient let him fully absorb the subtle lessons of life. The watchers from earlier seemed more real than ever, their quiet watching mixed with the wisdom of the veins. They didn't guide or block anything. They just reflected the natural flow, which made Enoch's connection to the quiet knowledge below him stronger. Shadows and light bent gently to show that they were aware of his steps, and every movement became a part of the delicate conversation between the seeker, the space, and the hidden currents. Enoch felt his consciousness grow, and his senses opened up to the layers of reality that most people don't notice. As he followed the network, time itself seemed to fade away. Past, present, and future all came together in a steady pulse, a rhythm of wisdom that flowed through the halls, the veins, and the unseen watchers. Enoch understood that understanding wasn't about getting somewhere. It was about being fully present in the flow and letting the currents of insight move through him gently, without resistance or expectation. Every step, every breath, and every soft pause became part of the living pattern, showing how in tune you were with the infinite subtlety of the unseen world. He moved on with purpose, stepping lightly, breathing deeply, and feeling every pulse beneath his feet. The veins of wisdom silently led him, giving him comfort, clarity, and a patient understanding of the world's hidden layers. Every movement turned into a meditation, and every pause was a recognition of the complex connections that ran through every part of the halls. Enoch walked with full awareness, alignment, and immersion in the soft symphony of energy, presence, and quiet knowledge that flowed around and beneath him. And so he went on, listening to the soft sound of the veins, soaking up the hidden knowledge, and carefully making his way through the echoing halls. He became fully present, fully aware, and fully in tune with the patient rhythm of the world, beyond ordinary perception, with every step, breath, and moment. As Enoch moved forward, the echoing halls slowly turned into a room filled with soft, twilight light. It wasn't day or night. It was a soft in-between, like a veil between two worlds. There was a faint, sweet smell in the air that mixed with the soft vibrations of the veins he couldn't see under his feet. Every step into this twilight made him feel like the world around him was getting bigger and the hidden currents were becoming more real. The twilight veil told him to move slowly and on purpose, letting his awareness grow with each breath and step. The light in this room was soft, almost invisible, but it seemed to be alive. It followed the shape of the ground, brushed against the edges of shadows, and shimmered faintly along the bright paths he had taken. The light wrapped around Enoch like a soft hug, giving him warmth and clarity without asking for his attention. It didn't show him things, but the flow of energy underneath them, the quiet patterns of life that had led him through the gardens, halls, and veins of wisdom before. The quiet rhythm of the twilight could be felt in every breath Enoch took. He felt waves of awareness rise through him, linking his heartbeat to the soft vibrations that were all around him. The air seemed to hum softly, carrying echoes of truths that were far away, the patient whispers of worlds that most people can't see. He understood that the veil was a doorway, a place where perception could go beyond the usual limits. It was a place where the subtle and hidden threads of knowledge became easier to reach for those who were willing to move slowly, pay attention, and be fully present. The shadows in the veil moved without any problems, following the unseen flows of energy. Light softly bent around the edges of the space, showing patterns that only existed in perception. Enoch's footsteps matched these flows, and every step he took echoed the world's soft pulse. The veil seemed to be full of quiet intelligence that led him without telling him what to do, helped him stay aware, and let him fully feel the energy flows that connected everything in this liminal space. The silent watchers he had felt before seemed to be closer now, and their presence was mixed with the soft hum of the veil. They watched, copied, and reflected, not controlling him, but helping him get more in tune with the hidden rhythms. Enoch felt that their calm presence, along with the soft glow and the pulsing veins below, made a space where understanding could happen naturally, without effort, without urgency or expectation. Awareness itself became a bridge that fully connected him to the quiet, old wisdom that was hidden in this twilight world. Every little thing mattered. The veil's underlying rhythm could be heard in the sound of water rippling, leaves shaking, and a faint shimmer along a stone. Enoch understood that the world was speaking a language of feeling, being, and being in harmony. To understand it, he just had to move slowly, pay attention, and breathe in time with the gentle pulse of life. Every step was a meditation, every breath was a connection, and every pause was a chance to connect with the quiet currents that were moving through the space. The time here felt different. Minutes turned into slow waves that mixed the past, present, and future into a smooth, continuous flow. Enoch's steps weren't too fast or too slow. They were in sync with the veil's eternal rhythm. Every move was a lesson. Every pause was a chance to think. And every breath was a chance to fully connect with the delicate symphony of light, shadow, and hidden energy. He understood that the veil was not a wall, but a bridge that invited him to fully enter awareness, feel the world's continuity, and accept the slow, steady beat of life. As Enoch went deeper into the twilight, his awareness grew even more. He could feel the gentle currents of energy brushing against his arms, the soft pulse beneath his feet, and the quiet sound of the watchers all around him. Light, shadow, air, stone, water, and the flow of things that can't be seen all came together to make a living meditation where being there was the key to understanding. The veil of twilight didn't hide any secrets that could be forced or caught. It only shared its wisdom with those who were willing to walk slowly, breathe deeply, and pay attention. So Enoch kept going, stepping lightly, moving carefully, and breathing in time with the soft pulse of the veil. Every movement, every pause, and every breath became part of the quiet conversation he was having with the layers of hidden reality around him. He walked completely aware, in sync with the rhythms of the twilight, and in the deep, patient, and eternal currents that held the knowledge of both seen and unseen worlds. As Enoch walked on, he saw a river flowing slowly through the twilight. Its surface was smooth and shiny, like a mirror, and it reflected the soft glow of the luminous pathways and the veil. This river wasn't like any other. It held the essence of reflection itself, not just of pictures, but also of thoughts, awareness, and the subtle currents of presence. Every ripple that moved across its surface seemed to be alive, moving in response to his movements and the quiet vibrations of the veins below. The river told him to stop, look around, and see both the world around him and the quiet depths of his own mind. The air along the river was cooler and had a faint smell of water and light. It was a smell that made me feel both grounded and ethereal. Enoch walked slowly, feeling the river's energy pulse softly under his feet and noticing how it matched the rhythms of his own body. Every breath he took seemed to go along with the soft flow, which made him more aware and calmed his mind. The river's movement was like the patient currents he had felt along the way. It taught him that reflection needs both stillness and gentle motion, as well as being aware of the small things in life and energy. The river's surface shone, showing faint glimpses of patterns that weren't tied to normal shapes. Leaves floating on the water looked like they were carrying tiny flashes of light, and shadows bent softly along the edges, blending perfectly with the unseen currents that flowed beneath. Enoch understood that this river was more than just water. It was a bridge between seeing and understanding, a quiet teacher that taught him lessons through watching and aligning. Every ripple, every shimmer, and every small movement taught me to be patient, aware, and gently in tune with the flow of life. Silent watchers were nearby, just like they had been on other paths. They reflected the river's currents without getting in the way. Their presence was calming and gave me confidence that observation itself is powerful without needing to be interfered with. Enoch felt their quiet attention, guiding him in a way that wasn't through words or instructions, but through resonance and shared awareness. The river, the people watching, the currents, and his own careful steps all came together to make a rhythm that felt both big and small, like a soft meditation in motion that connected him completely to the world around him. He noticed even the smallest things along the riverbank: stones that glimmered with unseen energy, flower petals that shimmered in the light that bounced off of them, and the air itself that quivered softly with currents of subtle resonance. Enoch knew that every part, no matter how small, added to the river's gentle wisdom. Awareness became both a vessel and a guide, letting him see the quiet details of energy that were hidden from normal sight. With every measured step and intentional breath, he felt more connected to the river, as if he were part of its slow flow. The river of reflection flowed slowly, but it felt like it went on forever. Enoch knew that he couldn't hurry or force the lessons. They needed time, focus, and careful watching. Every ripple was a quiet call to slow down. Every shimmer was a gentle reminder to pay attention. And every movement was a reminder that being in tune with unseen currents can bring clarity that is beyond the ordinary. He let his body sync up with the river's pulse, breathing in time with its rhythm and walking softly along its edge, completely lost in the quiet flow of insight. Here, time seemed to disappear. The calm surface of the river brought together the past, present, and future. Enoch knew that understanding wasn't about getting to a certain point, but about letting the currents of awareness lead him slowly. Every moment was a meditation, every breath was a bridge, and every careful step was a quiet way to show that you understood the wisdom in this in-between space. The river showed him not only the outside world, but also the hidden flows within. It was a mirror of awareness that went beyond sight and sound. Enoch felt very calm as he walked along the river's gentle curves. The water's reflection held both the light and the dark, the known and the unknown, weaving them together in patterns that could only be seen by people who moved with careful attention. Every step, every pause, and every soft breath became part of the quiet conversation between his mind and the currents around him. He walked fully present, in sync with the river's flow, and in the subtle, patient, and eternal rhythm that connected all the parts of the unseen world. And so Enoch went on, walking quietly along the river of reflection and letting its currents gently lead him. Every movement, every breath, and every quiet pause became part of the flowing meditation, a connection with the night's hidden wisdom. He walked with full awareness, full connection, and full alignment with the river's rhythm, moving deeper into the calm and bright currents of the world that went beyond what most people could see. As Enoch walked along the gentle curves of the river, the area around him slowly opened up into a huge room filled with the soft light of millions of stars. These weren't just stars in the night sky. They were bright points of light that were suspended in the room itself, floating as if caught in the delicate threads of invisible currents. The air hummed with energy, and it felt like it was echoing the heartbeat of the universe. Enoch felt himself being pulled forward. With each step, he got closer to the soft light, and with each breath, he fell in time with the stars' soft, pulsing rhythm. The room was huge, but it didn't feel empty. Shadows moved slowly between the floating points of light, bending and stretching in time with currents that couldn't be seen. Enoch understood that the chamber was a place where the heavens above and the hidden energies that had guided him from the start could meet. It looked like each star was alive, like a quiet guard watching the flow of energy and reflecting light and shadow patterns that went beyond what we could see. He took slow, deep breaths and let the calm light fill him. With each pulse of the chamber, he felt his awareness grow. Enoch could feel the different vibrations of each star, which were quiet and resonant. They were patient and calm, giving understanding without talking and wisdom without asking. He saw how their tiny flickers matched the rhythms he had felt in the earth's veins, the bright paths, and the river of reflection. Everything he had seen so far, the watchers, the gardens, the twilight, and the currents, seemed to come together in this room, where light, shadow, and energy moved together in a peaceful way. The air smelled nice, like something sweet and metallic, and it mixed with the sound of unseen currents. Enoch moved slowly and carefully, making sure that each step was in time with the chamber's pulses. The shadows bent gently around him, moving in time with the light, and the currents beneath his feet vibrated gently in response. He understood that the room was a living map of the hidden universe, a place where being there revealed patterns of existence that are too subtle for most people to see. The stars were more than just dots of light. They were mirrors of awareness. As Enoch walked, he felt each reflection resonate within him, opening up new ways of thinking, seeing, and quietly understanding. Each soft flicker gave me a lesson in how to observe without getting in the way, how to move slowly, and how to breathe with care. Every movement became part of the chamber's rhythm. Every pause became a bridge between what was known and what was not. And every step became a quiet meditation on the harmony that holds everything together. The watchers were always nearby, their presence subtle but noticeable, in time with the chamber's soft rhythm. They didn't help or hurt. They just showed how Enoch moved and how energy flowed through the space. Their presence made the stars' quiet sound even louder, which made him more aware of the complex web that linked every point of light, shadow, and current. With each careful breath, Enoch felt the harmony deepen. He felt more in tune with the hidden patterns that were all around him in the room. Every little thing had meaning. A faint vibration along the bright threads, a delicate sway in shadow, and a subtle flicker of a star all taught me lessons in patience, focus, and being present. Enoch knew that you can't force someone to understand or explain something. You have to watch carefully and tune in to the subtle music around you. Every step was like meditation, Every breath was like reflection, and every pause was like a quiet conversation with the chamber's hidden wisdom. Time in the chamber felt like it was going on forever, but there was no feeling of eternity pressing down. The stars' gentle rhythm brought together the past, present, and future, letting Enoch feel awareness itself as a constant flow. He could feel the pulse of energy under his feet, the sound of the stars floating, and the calm presence of the watchers blending with his own heartbeat. Every movement added to this living map, which was a delicate meditation on being in the right place, observing, and being calm. As Enoch moved carefully through the chamber of stars, he breathed in time with its quiet pulse. With each step, pause, and breath, he felt more and more connected to the universe's hidden patterns. Every movement was a meditation. Every flash of light was a quiet lesson. And every soft rhythm was a link between what was seen and what was not, what was known and what was infinite. He walked fully aware, fully in tune, and fully in line with the calm, patient, and eternal currents of the Chamber of Stars. Enoch left the Chamber of Stars and entered a hall lined with mirrors that reflected not only his image, but also the layers of existence he had already traveled through. The hall was filled with a new, subtle light. The mirrors weren't like regular glass. They seemed to pulse with energy, capturing echoes of the bright paths, the river of reflection, the gardens, and the rooms he had passed through. Every reflection had movement, light, and small currents of presence that made the space feel like it went on forever in every direction. Enoch saw that each mirror showed a slightly different version of reality as he walked down the hall. Some of the pictures were familiar, showing him walking along the glowing paths. Others showed him hidden currents, veins, and patterns that went beyond what he could normally see. The reflections were full of subtle energy, moving in time with the hall's vibrations and the beat of his own heart. Every step he took echoed softly through the mirrors, sending soft waves across the reflections that were layered on top of each other. The air smelled soft and calming, like water, stone, and faint starlight. With each breath, he felt the subtle energies of the mirrors enter his body, making him aware of how all the layers of existence are connected. Shadows moved slowly along the edges of the mirrors, mixing with light to make shapes that looked like they went on forever and had depth. Enoch felt that every little thing, every shine, and every vibration held quiet lessons in how to see, be aware, and align the mind, body, and energy. The hall itself seemed to come to life, reacting in small ways to his presence. The mirrors bent and moved, but not with force. They did so in a quiet way to show that they understood the currents that were flowing through him. Every reflection turned into a meditation. Every small flicker became a guide. And every pause was a chance to feel the deeper levels of reality that we often miss. Enoch knew that these mirrors didn't just show his face. They showed awareness itself, the flow of energy, and the soft sound of everything being in perfect harmony. The watchers were also here, and their presence blended in perfectly with the hall's subtle energy. They moved quietly, making him more aware of the layered reflections and making them seem bigger. Their gentle watching wasn't pushy or demanding. It was an invitation to notice, feel, and take in the quiet wisdom that was reflected in the hall. Enoch walked slowly, letting the soft vibrations of the mirrors and the calm presence of the watchers guide his steps and help him feel more connected to the currents around him. Every little thing had meaning. A faint ripple on a mirrored surface, a shimmer of shadow, or a slight pulse in the floor under his feet gave him new ideas. Enoch understood that the hall was teaching him how important it is to be patient, watchful, and aligned. Understanding didn't come from hard work or force. It came from paying close attention to small changes, tuning into gentle currents, and being fully present in the space around him. Every step was a meditation, every breath was a thought, and every break was a time to connect with the energy of the hall. Time in the hall seemed to stretch and fold, going beyond what most people could understand. The layered reflections showed the past, present, and future, all at the same time, making a steady, patient rhythm. Enoch's movements, breath, and awareness merged with the quiet pulse of the mirrors. This made him feel like presence was a living thread running through every reflection. He could feel the currents under his feet, the soft energy of the hall, and the quiet guidance of the watchers. All of these things worked together to make a gentle, immersive meditation on being aware and aligned. As he went on, Enoch saw that each mirror seemed to tell him to slow down, breathe, and pay close attention. The reflections didn't require understanding, but they did give people who were patient enough to notice some insight. Every little flicker, shimmer, and pulse became a bridge that connected him to hidden currents, unseen energies, and the layers of knowledge that were in the space. Awareness became both a guide and a friend, showing the hall's quiet wisdom with every step, breath, and pause. So Enoch walked through the hall of mirrors, completely present, completely in tune, and completely absorbed in the subtle vibrations of light, shadow, reflection, and energy. Every movement, every pause, and every soft breath became part of the quiet conversation between him and the endless layers around him. He walked through the hall aligned, aware, and deeply connected, carrying with him the lessons of observation, patience, and calm understanding as he moved on to the next part of his journey. Enoch stepped into a room full of soft, swirling winds after leaving the Hall of Mirrors. The air moved in a slow, steady way, brushing against his skin and making the faintly glowing threads of energy that hung in the air like delicate veils rustle. The winds were not wild or harsh. Instead, they had a soft, harmonious sound, like every gust was a quiet note in a hidden symphony. Enoch took a slow breath in, feeling the subtle currents match the beat of his heart, and then he let his awareness flow with the gentle flow around him. It seemed like the winds were carrying soft, quiet whispers that echoed knowledge that was older than memory itself. Enoch couldn't hear words, but he could feel meaning in the movement, like a quiet message hidden in the air's pulses. He could feel how all the currents in the chamber were connected by the small eddies and interactions that happened with every step he took. The soft swirls brushed against his arms and legs, as if the winds were guiding him, telling him to be careful and pay attention. As the currents moved, light came through them and made patterns that changed along the walls and floor. Shadows and light mixed together, moving smoothly with the wind. Enoch could feel the energy beneath his feet change slightly, vibrating in time with the moving air and connecting him to the chamber's hidden layers. Every movement became a conscious meditation, every breath a link between what could be seen and what couldn't, and every pause was a chance to feel the energy flowing through the space. The Chamber of Winds had a feeling of fluidity, of moving without rushing, and of being there without fighting. Enoch felt the harmony of motion and understood that the winds were like the hidden currents he had followed from the gardens, the halls, and the rivers. They moved slowly, but they taught lessons about how to align, observe, and live in a gentle rhythm. Walking in this space meant joining the invisible symphony and fully tuning into the subtle waves that flow through light, air, and earth. Even the tiniest eddies had a meaning. There were small lessons in the currents, like a swirl near his feet, a gentle tug along his arms, or a faint flicker of energy. Enoch knew that taking his time to look around was the key to getting the wisdom that the winds held. Awareness became the way for understanding to flow, with each step and breath connecting to the quiet harmony that was present in the room. The winds themselves seemed patient, giving advice without pushing, and showing those who were willing to move slowly and fully attune. The watchers were also here, moving easily with the light and air. They were there in a subtle way, more reflective than directive, which helped Enoch stay in line with the currents. As they watched, the shadows moved softly, making the winds and the pulsing veins below the chamber sound even more soothing. Enoch felt calm and at ease, knowing that all he needed to get through this space was patience, awareness, and gentle movement. Every breath he took made him feel more connected, and every breath he let out released tension. Every step became a meditation on being present, being in alignment, and being in harmony. Time in the chamber seemed to be stuck, moving in soft waves instead of in a straight line. The winds gently mixed the past, present, and future, making Enoch feel like life was a living rhythm instead of a set order. Every move he made, every intentional pause, and every careful breath blended with the room's subtle currents, giving him a feeling of complete harmony with the space around him. While Enoch was still moving through the chamber, he realized that the winds were teaching him about being flexible and patient, giving in without giving up, and watching without getting in the way. Every swirl, flicker of light, and slight vibration reminded him that being in tune with unseen currents requires being aware and present in a calm way. His steps turned into soft meditations, and each breath was a link between him and the world around him. Each pause was a reminder of the delicate dance of energy that flows through everything. So Enoch moved through the chamber of winds, tuning into every small gust, vibration, and flash of light. The quiet music around him grew louder with each step, breath, and gentle pause, leading him to a deeper understanding and calm. He walked fully present, fully aligned, and fully in tune with the patient, harmonious currents of the chamber, moving smoothly into the next layer of his journey. When Enoch left the Chamber of Winds, the glowing paths led him into a hallway he had never seen before. It was long and narrow, and it seemed to go on forever, with a soft pulse that matched the rhythm of time itself. The walls looked like they were made of glass, with faint echoes of the past, present, and possible futures layered on top of each other. With each step, a soft vibration moved him forward and connected him in a subtle way to the invisible currents flowing through the hallway. Enoch thought of time here as something that moved and changed, like a living, breathing rhythm instead of a strict order. The air was still, but there was a quiet movement in it, as if every particle held a memory. Soft light shone on the walls, making soft patterns that pulsed in time with the energy underneath. Enoch saw faint shapes moving within the layers. These were flashes of events and lives that had happened, or could happen, all living together in a fragile balance. It was as if the hallway had every possible thing in it, but nothing could get too much for him. The space's rhythm made people want to pay close attention, move slowly, and let their awareness grow quietly. Every time Enoch took a step, he could feel the subtle flow of time interacting with him. With each breath, he felt more in tune with the corridor's gentle pulse, which made him feel connected to both distant and near-future events. Shadows bent and stretched along the walls, moving in time with unseen currents. Enoch understood that the hallway was more than just a way to get somewhere. It was a living example of how everything is connected and how every action, thought, and presence leaves echoes through time. The hallway had a faint smell that was hard to notice. It mixed the smell of the past with the smell of something new that was about to happen. With every breath, he felt like he was pulling the very essence of time into his body, which made him more aware and sensitive to the currents around and beneath him. The watchers came back, moving quietly down the hallway and showing that he was there without bothering him. Their careful watching made him more aware of the flow of temporal energy, turning each step into a conscious meditation on alignment and awareness. Even the smallest things felt important. A little shimmer on the wall, a soft pulse under his feet, or the faint ripple of a shadow taught him about patience, focus, and the fine line between the past and the future. Enoch knew that time in this place should not be rushed or controlled. Instead, it was meant to be felt, seen, and in harmony with a soft current that ran through every moment, breath, and step. The hallway seemed to go on forever, but Enoch wasn't scared or confused. The rhythms were calm, and the energy currents flowed steadily, moving him forward slowly. He could feel the complex web of time that connected all levels of existence with each movement, each pause, and each measured breath. He started to see the fragile patterns of cause and effect, the echoes of presence, and the quiet symphony of interactions that had shaped and would shape worlds. Time here was flexible, but it was also organized. Enoch felt like he was part of the tapestry, with the past and future living next to the present. Every step was both a journey and a meditation, and every breath connected him to the world around him. The hallway showed him that awareness could be a bridge between moments, letting him feel the subtle flow of time without getting lost in its vastness. Enoch learned about patience and attunement as he walked down the hall. The soft pulses of energy under his feet, the gentle shimmer of the walls, and the faint sound that filled the air all suggested that he was in the right place at the right time. Every moment of focus became a quiet act of harmony, every step a meditation, and every breath a chance to think about the subtle, infinite connections that run through time. And so Enoch went on, moving slowly through the corridor of time and fully attuning to the gentle flow of its currents. Every step, every breath, and every quiet pause became a part of the space's living meditation, which deeply connected him to the flow of time. He walked with his whole body, mind, and heart, in sync with the calm, patient, and eternal pulse of the hallway. He was ready to move on to the next part of his amazing journey. When Enoch came out of the corridor of time, he stepped into a garden that was unlike any he had ever seen before. It was a huge area filled with soft, glowing light. This wasn't the same garden where his journey had started. The light here was softer and warmer, as if the whole place was meant to help people become more aware and think. Every blade of grass, leaf, and flower shone softly in response to the tiny movements of the unseen currents below his feet. The air smelled faintly calming, with a mix of the fresh smell of morning dew and the soft, sweet smell of flowers that seemed to be only here, in this peaceful, bright world. Enoch walked slowly, feeling the ground's soft pulse beneath his feet and matching his steps to the garden's gentle rhythms. With each breath, he took in the peace of the space, which filled his mind with calm and clear thoughts. With each breath out, he let go of stress which helped him connect more deeply with the bright energy around him. The garden was full of life, but it didn't seem to be in a hurry or be a distraction. The light, shadow, and soft hum of unseen energy all came together perfectly to make a space of perfect harmony where perception itself felt free and easy. The flowers seemed to sway with a soft awareness, and the light that shone on them made gentle patterns on the garden floor. Faint streams of energy moved between the trees, like delicate ribbons, carrying whispers of wisdom and echoes of old truths. Enoch felt each subtle current resonate inside him, bringing to life feelings he had never felt before, a rhythm that matched the calm pulse of the garden. Every step turned into a meditation, and every breath connected him to the quiet intelligence that was flowing through the space without being seen. The watchers were here too, and their presence was as calm and quiet as the light itself. They moved quietly through the plants, adding to the peacefulness of the garden and Enoch's connection to the currents. Their observation was not controlling, but it did help him remember that awareness and patience were the keys to understanding the subtle energies around him. Shadows bent softly, light sparkled softly, and every detail of the garden seemed to react to his careful presence, making a deep conversation between the observer and the observed. Every little thing mattered. The soft vibration of a flower petal, the gentle ripple of a stream nearby, or the soft sway of a branch taught me about harmony, observation, and gentle attunement. Enoch understood that everything was a teacher, and he learned not by trying hard, but by being quiet and present. With every step he took, every breath he took, and every gentle pause, he became a part of the garden's delicate, interconnected flow. It was a quiet meditation on what it means to be aware and aligned. In the garden of light, time seemed to stop and flow like a gentle stream instead of a strict order. The soft light brought together the past, present, and future in a way that made Enoch feel like he was living and breathing in the present. He could feel the quiet pulse of energy under his feet, the soft light shining through flowers and leaves, and the calm presence of the watchers, all in tune with his own awareness. Every move was a sign of alignment, a quiet talk with the garden's hidden wisdom. The garden welcomed both stillness and movement. Enoch stopped a lot to take in the delicate dance of light and shadow, the faint energy vibrations that flowed through the space, and how the plants reacted to him being there. The experience was both calming and enlightening. It taught him that paying attention and observing things carefully could show him things that were hidden from normal sight. With every breath and step, he felt more connected to the bright currents, which helped him fully join the peaceful rhythm of the garden. Enoch felt very clear and at peace as he walked through this bright space. The soft light, the gentle currents, and the calm presence of the watchers all made it easy for people to be aware. Every movement, every pause, and every intentional breath became a part of a quiet meditation, a conversation with the unseen energies that filled the garden. He walked with his whole body, mind, and spirit in sync with the calm, patient, and bright currents that brought both wisdom and gentle understanding. Enoch walked deeper into the garden of light, stepping softly along glowing paths, breathing in time with the gentle pulse of the space, and letting each moment become a peaceful meditation. The quiet symphony around him grew stronger with every step, pause, and breath. It connected him completely to the bright, patient, and eternal currents that flowed through this amazing garden, leading him to the next stage of his journey. From the peaceful glow of the Garden of Light, Enoch was led to a new place, A huge library with walls lined with shelves, full of old scrolls and glowing manuscripts. The air was thick with the faint smell of parchment, and a quiet, electric hum, as if each book held not only words, but also the pulse of hidden knowledge. Light moved gently through the hall, touching the spines of the scrolls and the edges of floating scripts that looked like they were hanging in the air. Enoch felt a gentle pull toward this knowledge, a patient invitation to move slowly, watch carefully, and open his mind to the streams of wisdom that flowed through the Library of Whispers. The library was huge, but it felt like each part was there to wrap the seeker in quiet understanding. It felt like each scroll was humming softly, a vibration that matched the unseen currents below his feet. Enoch walked carefully down the aisles, feeling the beat of the space match the beat of his own heart. Shadows and light moved slowly, bouncing off the floating manuscripts and giving the impression of a living presence. Every step, every careful breath, and every quiet pause turned into a meditation that linked him to the infinite layers of knowledge that were waiting to be seen. The whispers in the library were so quiet that you couldn't hear them, but you could feel them as energy vibrations. Every scroll and manuscript seemed to have its own quiet language, a pulse that spoke to awareness rather than intellect. Enoch felt himself getting in tune with these frequencies as he noticed the soft resonance of letters and symbols that meant more than words. The watchers, who were now among the stacks and floating texts, moved silently, making the connection between Enoch's awareness and the quiet knowledge that filled the hall even stronger. Their presence was calming, patient, and completely unnoticeable, which let him explore this huge storehouse of knowledge with both care and curiosity. There was meaning in even the smallest things in the library. The soft rustle of pages moving in unseen currents, the faint shimmer along the edges of a scroll, or the subtle pulse beneath a hovering manuscript, all taught lessons about being patient, being aware, and being mindful. Enoch knew he couldn't rush through understanding here. The Library of Whispers needed quiet attention, careful movement, and the ability to let insight come to him naturally. Every step became a meditation, every breath a connection, and every pause a chance to connect with the eternal wisdom that was all around him. It felt like the library was outside of regular time. The manuscripts had layers of past, present, and possible futures. Each scroll had echoes of events, thoughts, and energies woven together in subtle patterns. Enoch felt these layers mixing with his own awareness, and the quiet currents under his feet matched the flow of knowledge above. The light moving slowly over the floating texts mirrored his movements, highlighting the fragile, living rhythm that connected the observer, the space, and the wisdom in perfect harmony. In the Library of Whispers, time was calm, kind, and open. Every step forward was both a movement and a meditation, and every breath connected Enoch's mind to the knowledge that was all around him. Shadows moved with the small currents, reacting to his presence without being too pushy, making a space of perfect harmony. Enoch felt like the library was breathing with him, giving him insight, not through teaching, but through resonance, reflection, and careful observation. He saw how the light bent gently along the manuscripts, sending back to him patterns that were too small for most people to see. Every ripple of light, every vibration of energy, and every gentle touch with the currents of knowledge taught me about being present, being patient, and being in line. Enoch walked slowly, taking deep breaths and letting each movement blend in with the library's quiet, eternal rhythms. Awareness became both a guide and a friend, slowly revealing layers of wisdom without rushing or asking for anything. And so Enoch kept going through the library of whispers, stepping softly along glowing paths, breathing in time with the soft pulse of energy, and letting each movement, pause, and breath bring him closer to the hidden knowledge all around him. With every step, I meditated. With every breath, I thought. And with every pause, I connected with the timeless currents that flowed through this amazing hall. He walked with his whole body, mind, and spirit in sync with the calm, patient, and eternal rhythm of the Library of Whispers, ready to move on to the next stage of his journey. Enoch left the Library of Whispers and was drawn to a place with softer light, where the air shimmered like gossamer threads, making a veil that changed all the time. This was the Vale of Dreams, a place that felt like it was between being awake and not knowing what was going on. Every breath and movement made a soft sound, and every thought felt like it was being amplified by the currents around him. The light here was otherworldly, passing through unseen layers of energy and making patterns that changed and moved when he was there. Enoch felt like he was walking into a living tapestry of awareness, where dreams and reality blended together perfectly. The air smelled faintly calming, like evening mist and flowers far away. This made him feel peaceful deep inside. As he walked, the veil rippled softly, showing bits of hidden layers and small movements in the currents. Enoch noticed that the library's whispers had turned into the soft hum of the veil, a quiet rhythm that made him think and be present. With each breath in, he felt more aware, and with each breath out, he felt more connected to the subtle energies that flowed through this dreamlike world. The veil showed him patterns that were more felt than seen as he went deeper. Waves of light and shadow moved along the invisible currents, making arcs of energy that pulsed with a quiet intelligence. Enoch understood that the Vale of Dreams was not a place to hurry through. Instead, it was a place to fully experience, where awareness could stretch, breathe, and watch the delicate dance of currents, light, and hidden threads of knowledge. Every step, every pause, and every breath he took on purpose became a part of a living meditation that connected him to the Vale's subtle, flowing wisdom. The Watchers came back, and their presence was almost invisible, moving like soft echoes through the layered currents. They didn't help or hurt him. They just reflected the rhythm of Enoch's awareness, making him more aware of the energy flows around him. Their quiet movements made the shadows move, bending softly with the veils pulsing. Enoch felt their presence as a comforting reminder to stay in the moment, breathe slowly, and pay attention to the subtle interplay of energy, light, and motion that made this world unique. Here, even the smallest things had meaning. A faint ripple in the air, a soft pulse underfoot, or a subtle shimmer of light along a hidden current all taught me to be patient, pay attention, and pay close attention. Enoch knew that the Vale of Dreams only gave people who were willing to move slowly and let their awareness grow naturally. With each breath in, I became more in tune, and with each breath out, I let go of tension. With each step, I became more connected to the flowing currents. Time inside the veil didn't feel like it was going in a straight line or staying the same. It flowed in gentle waves, mixing the past, present, and future into a constant stream of awareness. Enoch felt that his mind could reach out along the currents and connect with layers of hidden knowledge that most people can't see. Every moment was a meditation. Every breath was a bridge, and every movement was a gentle connection with the energies that filled the space. The veil seemed to be alive, responding to his presence in small ways but not forcing anything on him. Its lessons were gentle, patient, and always giving. The way the light and shadow played off of each other here was mesmerizing. Every little movement made the waves of soft light twist and bend, sending a sound that went all the way through Enoch's mind. He understood that being present was the key to understanding the veil. Noticing without forcing, moving without rushing, and breathing in sync with the currents and rhythms in the space helped him fully connect with them. Awareness became both a teacher and a friend, gently leading him through a place where the lines between perception and insight faded into peaceful clarity. As Enoch walked slowly through the Vale of Dreams, he felt the quiet pulse of the currents with every step, the soft shimmer of light with every breath, and his connection to the layered patterns of existence around him grew stronger with every pause. Every movement, every soft breath, and every small observation became part of the flowing meditation that filled this space. He walked fully present, fully aware, and fully in sync with the patient, eternal, and peaceful rhythms of the Vale of Dreams. He carried its quiet wisdom with him into the next stage of his amazing journey. When Enoch stepped through the Vale of Dreams, he found himself in a room he had never seen before. The space was big but closed off, and there were soft, resonant vibrations that seemed to echo the whispers of every path he had taken. This was the Chamber of Echoes, where sound, memory, and subtle energy came together to make a living tapestry of resonance. Every step, every breath, and every gentle movement made the walls hum. The vibrations that traveled through the walls gave both reflection and quiet guidance. Enoch felt a calm silence come over him, as if the room itself was there to teach him how to be aware. The air was cool and had a faint metallic taste that went well with the soft smell of old stone and water far away. Every breath he took seemed to bring in subtle vibrations, and every breath he let out let him relax and connect more deeply with the currents around him. The walls shimmered softly, showing movement not just with light, but also with patterns that changed with the chamber's vibrations. Enoch saw that even the soft brushing of his cloak or the subtle pressure of his footstep made concentric ripples across the invisible layers of energy that filled the space. In the chamber, echoes became real things, like faint shapes of past movements, whispers of thoughts, and small bursts of energy that all came together in delicate patterns. Enoch understood that the chamber was there to teach the art of being present. Every sound, vibration, and interaction was a lesson in harmony, observation, and being patient. The echoes didn't drown him out. Instead, they made him pay attention and feel the hidden currents that connected every ripple of energy in the room. The watchers looked like they were part of the echoes, moving in smooth, flowing ways. It was comforting to have them there, and it made Enoch more aware without changing the delicate balance of vibrations. The shadows bent and moved softly with them, responding to the chamber's resonance and syncing with the small flows of energy under his feet. Enoch knew that the only things he needed to fully explore this space were his own awareness, careful observation, and gentle movement. This helped him bring the lessons of sound, vibration, and resonance into his mind. Every little thing had a meaning. The faint echo along the wall, the soft vibration under a step, or the small change in the currents above, taught me about being patient, being aware, and being in the moment. Enoch understood that understanding didn't come from force or effort, but from carefully watching and tuning in to the soft, flowing music that filled the room. Every step, every breath, and every pause he made on purpose became a meditation, a link between his mind and the unseen currents running through the echoes. Time in the chamber of echoes was flexible and wide. The vibrations that filled every corner of the space made the past, present, and future all flow together. Enoch felt that each echo not only showed the chamber, but also his own journey, which included the bright paths, the river of reflection, the hall of mirrors, and the vale of dreams. The chamber was like a living map of experience, reminding him that every thought, action, and breath leaves traces in the currents of existence, and that awareness can even sync up with these small rhythms. The combination of sound, shadow, and small movements made the room feel like a trance or meditation. Enoch understood that just being there was enough for him to fully explore the area. He could notice things without being disturbed, move slowly, and breathe in sync with his surroundings. The echoes themselves seemed to give advice, not as orders, but as soft lessons in patience, harmony, and how to go with the flow of the invisible currents that ran through everything in the world. He used every tiny ripple, quiet vibration, and soft reflection as part of his meditation to become more aware and connected. Enoch kept going through the chamber of echoes, moving slowly and carefully, tuning in to every vibration and pulse, and letting each breath, exhalation, and step deepen his connection to the energy that was flowing through the space. Every movement, every pause, and every quiet look became part of the living meditation that filled the room. He walked through the chamber of echoes, fully present, fully aligned, and fully immersed in its patient, eternal, and harmonious rhythms. He carried its quiet wisdom with him to the next level of his amazing journey. Enoch was drawn to a soft light in the distance from the chamber of echoes. As he got closer, he saw a huge, flowing river that seemed to be floating in the air. The celestial river was a bright stream of water-like energy that flowed with smooth, planned currents. There were light and shadow reflections on its surface, and faint ripples carried soft, harmonious vibrations that resonated deep within his mind. The river moved in a way that seemed to match the rhythm of the universe itself. It flowed slowly, but it led everything along its patient path. The air was cool and smelled faintly fresh, as if every breath brought back memories of faraway forests and hidden springs. Enoch saw that the river's soft glow changed when he got close, making gentle waves that echoed the beats of his heart. He walked carefully along the edge, feeling the energy beneath his feet line up with the flowing currents. Then he let himself blend in with the calm flow of the celestial river. With each breath in, he became more aware, and with each breath out, he let go of tension, which helped him fully tune into the subtle harmonies around him. The river held images of everything Enoch had seen so far, like the gardens, the rooms, the halls, and the vales. These pictures didn't hit me hard. They flowed like memories on the surface of calm water. Every ripple and reflection seemed to have a meaning, a quiet call to pay attention to and go with the flow of the currents that had taken him through the heavens. Enoch understood that the river was both a path and a teacher, showing him the way through the vast, bright space and teaching him how to be patient, present, and in harmony. The watchers were here, as they always are, moving with the river's currents, their shapes bending and shifting in time with the water. Their presence made Enoch more aware and helped him feel the delicate balance of light, energy, and motion. Shadows and shimmering reflections mixed together to make a place where careful observation and attention brought out the quiet wisdom in every ripple. The river seemed to respond to his awareness by gently carrying him forward and letting the energy around him deepen his sense of connection to the bigger patterns of life. Even the tiniest movements were important. A soft wave, a faint shimmer of energy on the surface, or a gentle pulse under his feet taught him about patience, observation, and alignment. Enoch knew that he had to move carefully and mindfully along the celestial river. If he moved too quickly, the harmony would be broken. But if he moved with care, he could fully merge with the flowing rhythm. He became aware of the river's gentle movement with each step, each pause, and each deliberate breath. Time along the celestial river felt both long and short. Enoch could feel how every movement, thought, and breath added to the ongoing pattern of existence. Past, present, and possible currents flowed together without any breaks. Every ripple in the water, every faint flash of light along the banks, and every small vibration in the air taught him to stay present and in tune with the constant flow of energy. Awareness became a friend, and every step was a conversation with the river's currents and the currents inside of him. The way the light, shadow, and motion worked together made a hypnotic, meditative rhythm. Enoch felt like the river's currents were in sync with his own heartbeat and breathing, which made him feel completely in tune. He was able to fully join the flowing energy by observing without interfering, moving slowly, and breathing in harmony. Every ripple, every reflection, and every soft pulse turned into a quiet meditation on how presence and movement, awareness, and action can work together. And so Enoch kept walking along the celestial river, taking care with each step, breathing slowly, and letting each stop and movement deepen his connection to the flowing currents. The river's gentle meditation included every movement, every quiet observation, and every deliberate breath. He walked with his body, mind, and spirit fully present, aligned and immersed in the calm, patient, and eternal rhythms of the celestial river. He carried its quiet wisdom with him into the next stage of his amazing journey. Enoch left the celestial river's gentle flow and was led up to a huge hall where the air sparkled with starlight. This was the Hall of Stars, a huge, otherworldly room where every point of light pulsed softly like a heartbeat, showing how big the universe is. The stars weren't far away. They were close enough to feel and give off quiet energy. They made patterns that changed as Enoch moved. The hall was quiet, but it was full of sound, and every step made him feel calm and clear, as if the stars were leading him through a heavenly meditation. The air was cool and had a faint, refreshing smell that reminded me of winds high in the mountains and flowers blooming far away. Every breath Enoch took seemed to blend with the soft light around him, making him feel like his inner rhythm was in sync with the huge cosmic energy of the hall. Light and shadows mixed together, and the points of starlight bent gently to his presence, making patterns that moved with the calm flow of the currents beneath his feet. Enoch understood that the hall was alive, but not in the usual way. It was alive in a subtle, harmonious way that made him want to watch closely, move slowly, and be aware of his surroundings. The stars made subtle constellations that weren't fixed but changed, showing patterns that changed as he became more aware. Some of the reflections showed things that had happened on his journey, while others hinted at things that were beyond what he could see. Enoch felt that the Hall of Stars was teaching him about how everything is connected. Every thought, movement, and breath is part of the bigger picture. He walked slowly, letting the gentle rhythm of his steps and the pulsing starlight come together. This made a meditative dance between his mind and the cosmic currents around him. The watchers were here too, moving like soft echoes in the starlight. Their presence was quiet, but helpful, keeping the rhythm of alignment and attention going. As they moved, the shadows bent and shimmered in a way that made the hall feel more fluid and meditative. Enoch knew that the hall wasn't about getting there quickly or getting there at all. It was about fully tuning into the flows of light, energy, and awareness, and learning to sync up with the quiet pulse of the universe. Even the tiniest flashes of starlight were important. A soft pulse, a gentle shimmer along the edge of a constellation, or the faint vibration under his feet, taught him how to observe, be patient, and align his mind. Enoch learned that being there, not trying hard, was what gave him understanding. Every step, breath, and pause became part of the hall's flowing meditation, connecting his mind with the cosmic currents around him. The Hall of Stars felt both big and small at the same time. The soft light made the past, present, and possible futures flow together perfectly, making Enoch feel like existence was a living rhythm. Every move he made, every pause he took, and every breath he took connected him more fully to the subtle flows of light and energy around him. It felt like the stars were responding to him, gently bending with his awareness and making patterns that echoed the quiet beat of his own inner rhythm. The way the light, shadow, and subtle energy worked together made a hypnotic, meditative space. Enoch felt at one with the heavenly currents, and every movement became a reflection of his presence, alignment, and observation. Every ripple of light, every soft pulse, and every soft shimmer became part of a quiet meditation. This taught me that harmony comes from being in tune, being patient, and being present. Enoch kept going through the Hall of Stars, stepping softly along glowing paths, breathing in time with the gentle pulsing of starlight, and letting each pause, step, and breath deepen his connection to the cosmic currents around him. Every move, every soft look, and every quiet breath became part of the hall's meditative rhythm. He walked fully present, fully aligned, and fully immersed in the calm, patient, and eternal flows of the Hall of Stars. He carried its quiet wisdom with him as he moved on to the next stage of his amazing journey. When Enoch left the Hall of Stars, he was led to a room that sparkled with a soft, crystalline light. This was the Crystal Vault, a place where light broke up and danced across many clear surfaces, making a beautiful symphony of reflections and refractions. The crystals looked like they were alive, vibrating with a weak energy that matched Enoch's own heartbeat. As he walked, the surfaces rippled with soft, shimmering waves that showed hidden layers of depth and complex patterns that changed with each step. The vault was quiet, but it was full of quiet sounds that made him want to pay attention to every little thing. The air was cool and crisp, with a faint smell of minerals and rain from far away. It was as if the essence of nature had been distilled into this bright space. Enoch took a slow breath and felt the crystal's calming sound match the rhythm of his own breath. Every time he exhaled, he let go of tension and became more aware, which let him feel the complex energy networks flowing through the vault. The light that moved across the walls and ceiling broke up into many shapes, casting soft, rainbow-like colors that changed with his movement. Each crystal seemed to have a lesson to teach. The subtle vibrations carried knowledge about patience, alignment, and attunement, while the changing patterns of light showed how the observer and the environment interact in a delicate way. Enoch knew that the vault was a place to be aware of what was going on around him. Every step, every pause, and every deliberate breath became a meditation on being present and in harmony. The energy under his feet pulsed gently, responding to his awareness and making him feel more connected to the crystalline currents around him. The watchers came back, their shapes soft and blurry, mixing in perfectly with the vault's reflections and pulses. Their presence gave him comfort and made him more aware of the gentle flows of energy without breaking the peaceful rhythm of the space. The shadows bent in a way that was hard to see. The light shimmered in a way that was hard to see, and the whole room seemed to breathe with him. Enoch understood that the crystal vault was showing him how to be careful, pay close attention, and fully connect his awareness with the subtle energy flows around him. Even the tiniest flashes of light or tiny vibrations had meaning. A quiver on the surface of a crystal, a soft pulse under his feet, or the faint reflection of a distant shimmer, all taught him to pay close attention and be patient. Enoch knew that understanding didn't come from being forced, but from being gentle and paying attention. He was able to fully connect with the rhythmic flow of energy by making each step, breath, and moment of quiet observation a part of the vault's living meditation. Time in the crystal vault was flexible and open. The light that was bent brought together the past, present, and future, letting Enoch feel the rhythm of life as a living, breathing thing. With every movement, every intentional pause, and every gentle breath, in and out, he became more and more a part of the vault's subtle currents. He saw how even the tiniest movements made patterns, ripples, and reflections that showed how presence, awareness, and energy all work together. The way light, shadow, and small vibrations worked together made the room feel like a meditation space. Enoch felt his inner rhythm slowly lining up with the crystalline currents. With every step and breath, he felt a quiet connection to the vault. He was able to fully connect with the energy around him by observing without rushing, moving without being disturbed, and breathing with full awareness. Every ripple of light, every tiny pulse, and every rainbow-colored reflection turned into a meditation on being present, being in harmony, and being in the right place. Enoch kept going through the crystal vault, stepping softly along the bright paths, breathing in time with the flowing currents, and letting each pause, step, and breath deepen his connection to the space. Every movement, every careful look, and every quiet breath became part of the vault's living meditation. He walked fully present, fully aligned, and fully immersed in the calm, patient, and eternal flows of the crystal vault. He brought its quiet wisdom with him into the next stage of his amazing journey. Enoch left the vault's sparkling beauty behind and walked toward a bridge that looked like it was floating on the light itself. This was the Bridge of Light, a narrow path that led to a soft, glowing horizon. It was suspended between dimensions and gave off a quiet energy. The bridge seemed to be alive, pulsing gently under his feet, in a way that seemed to respond to his presence. Each step was both a way to move and a way to meditate, as he carefully tuned in to the energy currents that flowed around and beneath him. The air was calm and warm, with a light, uplifting smell, like the light of morning over a distant mountain. Enoch felt that each breath he took made him more aware and gave him a calm sense of openness. Each breath out helped his body and mind get more in sync with the rhythm of the bridge. The light around him moved in soft waves, showing his movements in patterns that seemed both endless and close. He understood that the bridge was a place of change, where being careful and taking mindful steps helped him align with the currents of the higher realms. Enoch noticed the subtle flow of energy in the air as he moved forward. Light flowed like a calm river under the bridge, showing not only his steps, but also the quiet pulse of awareness itself. Every soft ripple seemed to hold knowledge about being patient, being in harmony, and being present. The watchers came back, their shapes soft and flowing, moving with the soft vibrations of the bridge. Their quiet watching made it clear how important attunement is, showing that his movement, breath, and awareness must all be in harmony with the energies around him. Even the tiniest movements were important. A small shift in weight, a quiet pause, or a gentle breath caused ripples to move along the bridge, where they interacted with currents of light in a subtle dance. Enoch knew that the bridge of light needed focused attention, not haste or distraction. Every step was a meditation, every breath was a reflection, and every pause was a chance to connect with the soft energy currents around him. The bridge taught him that just being there could turn the simple act of walking into a flowing, conscious rhythm. Time on the bridge of light felt both big and small. It felt like the past, present, and possible futures all blended together, making a smooth, steady flow. Enoch could feel the echoes of his journey in the soft waves under his feet, which were like lessons he had learned in the gardens, halls, rivers, and vaults he had passed through. Every ripple of light, every pulse of energy, and every quiet thought became a living meditation that taught him how to be aware and how to find balance between moving and being still. The bridge also showed how light and shadow interact in patterns. The soft waves of light bent and curved with his movements, making shapes that changed in response to his presence, without judging or bothering him. Enoch saw that his awareness made the currents stronger, and that the currents, in turn, quietly guided his steps. Every breath in and out, as well as every careful step, became part of a conversation with the bridge's energy. This made me realize how important it is to be aligned, observe, and be present. As he went on, Enoch felt a deep sense of peace and connection. The bridge of light brought his inner rhythm into sync with the energy flows around him. This put him in a meditative state, where every step, breath, and quiet pause gave him a deeper understanding. The bridge's soft glow, the light's gentle waves, and the watcher's patient, flowing presence all came together to make a place where awareness itself became a gentle, living teacher. Enoch walked steadily along the bridge of light, carefully stepping on the glowing path and breathing in time with the flowing currents. He let each pause, motion, and quiet reflection deepen his connection with the energy around him. Every breath, every movement, and every second of being aware of what was going on around him became part of the bridge's flowing meditation. He walked fully present, fully aligned, and fully immersed in the calm, patient, and eternal rhythms of the bridge of light, bringing its quiet wisdom with him as he finished his amazing journey. Finally, Enoch's journey took him to the summit of eternity, which was bathed in a soft, timeless light. The sky above was huge and seemed to go on forever in all directions. Each layer of the universe pulsed softly in time with the others. The gardens, rivers, halls, vales, and bridges he had crossed were all connected below him like a flowing mosaic of light and energy. The top was still, quiet, and deep, but it had a soft vibration, a hum that seemed to connect with the deepest currents of life itself. Enoch felt a calm sense of completion, as if every step he took, every breath he took, and every quiet observation he made had led him to this final point of understanding and awareness. The air was still, and there was a faint scent in the air that reminded me of far-off stars and the smell of dawn. Every breath he took seemed to open his mind and take him beyond what he could normally see. Every breath he let out let go of all his stress and distractions. Enoch was fully present, taking in the soft light around him and feeling the quiet rhythm that flowed through all of creation. The light shone in soft waves, reflecting not only outward, but also inward, just like the alignment, awareness, and presence he had built up over the course of his journey. From this point of view, Enoch could feel how all the places he had been to were connected: the library of whispers, the vale of dreams, the chamber of echoes, the celestial river, the hall of stars, the crystal vault, the bridge of light, and the garden of reflection. Each place had left small marks on his mind, and now the layers of wisdom were coming together as a whole. The watchers moved quietly through the glowing currents, their presence soft and unobtrusive, as if they were paying their respects to the end of his journey through these realms. Enoch knew that everything he had seen, felt, and taken in was part of a living, eternal tapestry. Every vibration, ripple, and step added to the ongoing symphony of life. Here, even the smallest things were important. The faintest pulse of light, the subtlest wave of energy, or the soft sound beneath his feet, all had meaning. Enoch knew that the summit of eternity was not a place to go, but a state of perfect harmony in which presence, awareness, and alignment all came together. Every breath, every heartbeat, and every step I took with purpose became a meditation, a reflection of the calm, endless harmony that filled all realms. The time at the top felt both long and short. Past, present, and possible futures all came together in a way that made a constant flow of awareness and understanding. Enoch felt the deep currents of creation flowing through him, linking him to everything he had seen, every person he had met, and every small lesson hidden in the bright paths of the heavens. Awareness became a living guide, showing him the gentle truth that all knowledge, wisdom, and experience were not separate, but rather flowing layers of the eternal, interconnected cosmos. The way light, shadow, and subtle energy worked together made a calm, hypnotic stillness. Enoch felt a deep sense of completion, as if all the lessons he had learned had come together in a peaceful way. He was able to take in the quiet, eternal wisdom that filled the summit by watching without rushing, breathing in harmony, and moving with care. Every flicker of light, every small vibration, and every soft ripple became part of a meditative thought about being present, being in line, and the continuity of life. Enoch felt a deep, unshakable peace as he stood on the summit of eternity. He knew that his trip through the 10 heavens, through each realm of light, knowledge, reflection, and resonance, had been both a journey through outside spaces and a journey into the depths of his own awareness. The calm beat of the summit matched the beat of his own mind, bringing together the past, present, and future into a peaceful, meditative flow. Every ripple of energy, every shimmer of light, and every breath reminded me that the only way to truly understand the infinite is to be aware, aligned, and present. So, with gentle respect, Enoch let himself fully rest in the calm light of the summit of eternity. He breathed slowly and deeply, completely attuning himself to the eternal rhythms that flowed through the cosmos. Every movement, every moment of stillness, and every moment of careful observation became part of a final meditation, the end of his amazing journey. He was fully present, fully aligned, and fully immersed in the timeless, patient, and infinite currents of the heavens. He carried with him the quiet wisdom of all the places he had been. The journey had come to a peaceful end, But the flow of awareness went on. In the calm of the summit, the soft glow of the cosmos, and the gentle resonance of energy, everyone who listened could feel the peace, patience, and deep silence of Enoch's passage. This let their own minds drift gently, in line with the eternal rhythms of the heavens.